Good evening everyone, welcome to FGM ECast presenting the Australian Endurance eChampionship into round 5 of 8 rounds. This is Bathurst, Mount Panorama, a track that certainly needs no introduction whatsoever, but there we go, we've given it one anyway. We've jumped into the race, we've jumped into the session about 5 minutes into qualifying, and it's an early morning session. The times are eye-watering as usual. Joined by my partner in crime tonight, Scotty Rankin. Welcome, Scotty.
Howdy, howdy. Good to see everyone. Good to be back in the chair. And, well, I'll tell you what, it is the jewel in the Australian e-racing crown, isn't it? Sorry to trip over words here, but is that a 157?
That's what I'm saying. The times here are eye-watering.
I'm just settling in, getting into my broadcast, relaxing, getting the talkative juices flowing, and I look at the timesheet just to see Brock Schaefer do the lap of the gods. Glenn Murphy, get out of here, Glenn Murphy, move over, Scott McLaughlin. Brock Schaefer is the new man of the moment with a 157.6. That's, oh, you said eye-watering. I wasn't expecting this.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been keeping an eye on the practices during the week, just to make sure that, you know, everyone's getting involved, having a run. As I've said, it's Bathurst, you've got to get involved, get around him, as they say. And I even jumped in the Porsche. I haven't driven the Porsche since the update. Thought I'll jump in, have a crack, see how I go. And I mentioned to you in the pre-broadcast, I thought we were doing pretty well, doing a 59.5. And Brock Schaefer here putting me completely to shame. And in fact, Maddie Bell and Nash as well doing the same thing. We've got Rebecca on the broadcast as well here. She's jumped in and said, NSR, let's go NSR boys, 1, 2 and 3. We did of course see that a fortnight ago at Le Mans, where pretty much these, I don't know what, I don't want to insult the colour, so I don't know what to say. We'll just call them green. These green Porsches absolutely dominated proceedings. And to the effect that the guys actually could slow down enough to have a formation 1, 2, 3 finish. So a couple of the quick guys missing there, certainly not taking anything away from that absolutely dominant performance that we saw. But there's some guys hot on the heels tonight. TK, of course, out early in the race last week. Pat Gallo back in the seat as well. So let's see what this one brings.
Yeah, look, I mean, we all know it. We've all seen it. It's not something that you can attest that if you've missed this and you know more about Le Mans and you know more about any of the other circuits out there, you feel a little bit un-Australian. So everyone feeling the pressure tonight. Well, you throw up lap times like that, and the NSR boys just continue to go from strength to strength to strength. They've pulled Maddie alongside them, and I tell you what, oh, is that Febin? Febin's just gone faster again.
He has indeed, so Febin down into 58.27s. Could you call it Grillo like the Manthey cars, but better? I'm not really sure what you mean there, Adam, but perhaps? I don't really know. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit more on that for us in the chat there. Of course, for those of you joining us for the first time this week, welcome to the broadcast. We run a combined series here, obviously GTE, GT3, replicating what does happen over in Europe. So we have a championship within a championship, and we also have the team championship as well. So the series here runs for outright points championship, so the car that will get the big number 1 on the door at the end of the season will be the overall points winner, not the GT3 points winner or GTE points winner, but overall. So both taking home up to 30 points tonight if they get the big W in their respective classes. There is also a team championship, highest combined points between the drivers, that did declare at the start of the season. But some good news on that. While we haven't managed to get it ready for tonight, next fortnight we will have all of that information available to us through some upgrades that we are working on for our stream. So, you know, stick around, come back next week, and you'll get to have a look at those as well. What I can tell you is Sebastian Murray Westberg here is the fastest man on track in the Mercedes for the GT3 Championship, currently sitting second in that championship, hot on the heels of Chris Purnell, who is yet to put in a qualifying time. So we'll definitely be keeping an eye on that battle back in the pack throughout the evening.
I was gonna say, is Chris trying to do like a rear of the field to front of the field sort of challenge sometimes? I mean, it's good. I like watching those sorts of things because it just adds an extra sort of dynamic to what the drivers are trying to do, especially if you know he's challenging himself at Bathurst. It's nearly the wrong track of sorts to really throw it out there. But Stuart, look, when you look down the list of drivers and you see the pure volume of cars that we've got on the circuit, you know it's going to be a good night in AEE. It's always... The thing I like about these guys is that the racing is, by and large, respectful, clean, and they all allow each other to race. They're out here for 2 hours, fighting something, putting something in the fence in the first 15 minutes. They're all aware of the consequences of that, and they don't do it. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to see some of the best in Australian and New Zealand, I believe we've got a couple Kiwis in the field as well.
We do indeed.
Endurance racing, you find it right here. And I tell you what, it is an absolute privilege and an honour to sit here and watch these guys turn out the lap times that they're currently putting on your screen.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, just touching on your comments before there, Chris Purnell's just jumped to the top of the table. He has far too much respect for the competition, I think, to try and do a last to first effort at Bathurst. Of course, as we know, Larry Perkins and Russell Ingall having achieved that feat in 1997. So Adam Blackman, they're just bringing up Mount Racing are a Porsche factory team running the iconic paint scheme, was to run at the Nürburgring. Actually, I did see that, Adam, and I had forgotten. They unfortunately suffered the fate of the COVID-19 infection in pit lane. I did see that they had to pull out of the Nürburgring this weekend. So now that you mention it, I actually do know who they are. So yes, very, very similar. Yeah, just disappointing that they had to pull out of the 24-hour that's on this weekend. If you can find somewhere to get coverage of that, it's going to be a fantastic race. Of course, the Nürburgring, our last round here with the AEE, we'll be running that into the dark in our Week 8 race. So do tune in for that one as well when you get there. But yeah, that race on for real this weekend, following on obviously from the Le Mans 24-hour last weekend. And that was an interesting race. I'm not too sure how I feel about it still. There's only 4 LMP1 cars in that one massive LMP2 field. And of course, we now have the LMP2 car joining the iRacing stables, and it's extraordinarily popular. I know we're running the Petite Le Mans race in a few weeks' time on iRacing. In fact, that's next weekend. And I believe that a far majority of the field is going to be running those LMP2 cars. So a cracking event there. But yeah, great to see the GTEs running around in the 24-hour there. Of course, Porsche taking out the GT3 win.
Porsche, man, always at the top. That's what I love about my favourite car racing brand. I tell you what, you would never want to be as a driver. You just, now you've been there, you're kind of just like, I don't want to sign for that number 7 Toyota team, I don't think, in the future. Man, they've had some bad luck. They just, mechanical failures. They just can't get across the line. Anyway, eyes back to the top of the tables as it stands at this stage. It looks like Schaefer is about to come through, see if he can improve on his lap. Doesn't look like it'll be a PB this time by... What's he got for us? I think it's a 1:59.89.
Somebody's just collected the wall heavily there as well on the way down the mountain. I think that I'm not going to say that was Kodak in my other favourite liveried Porsche. Very busy man, Frank Hodak, actually. He is at the Bend Motorsport Park this weekend in his capacity there, helping out run the second of 2 successive weeks in the V8 Supercars at the Bend Motorsport Park. And he sent me some fantastic photos of the Senna McLaren that they currently have in pit lane there. If you've never been to the Bend, when you can, and hopefully that's going to be soon for most of the nation, get across there and have a look. Even if you just go and have a look in the pit lane showroom there, they have some of the best racing cars you'll ever be able to not touch, but get very, very close to down in the foyer there, including that new McLaren Senna that did some parade laps around there as well. I think they're running on the West track, I believe they call it, this weekend as well. So the first time any national level racing has been done on that track, if I am to understand correctly. So plenty going on over there, but yeah, Frank joining us here this evening. He's got some new sim gear as well, so upgrading his kit to help improve your consistency and his lap times. Thanks very much for the like there, Lloyd.
Something I just want to point out, we've got a Mercedes at the top, I think. Is it Clements that's just jumped in a Mercedes?
That we certainly do. What a cracking lap from Dave Clements. He's done a 2:03.25 there to currently knock Chris Purnell off top of the perch, and that is a big improvement for Dave Clements. Well done, a fantastic lap. Looks like he's got a new livery. In fact, there's a number of new liveries in pit lane this evening. The livery on that one certainly is brand spanking. And also just noticing there that the car in front of him, the Audi there of that was actually Chris Purnell in front of him with a new livery too. So some of the guys getting the creative pen out over the week or the couple of weeks off and updating liveries on those cars, perhaps in preparation for some other racing as well.
As endurance racing, you know, if you want to get your fix this weekend, we were actually talking about in terms of sim racing endurance coverage this weekend. There's actually a fair bit to go through. In terms of official races, iRacing has 3-hour races every weekend. Don't forget your 90-minute races have just been added to the schedule as an individual endurance race. This weekend, it is the only endurance race that you do on the V8 supercars on iRacing, the Bathurst 1000.
Yes, that is it.
Returns this time of year. Then there's also 6 hours at Sebring as well. I managed to catch up with Chris Purnell last weekend to run me through the laps over at Sebring with some of the coaching there that he was able to set us up with. And he said the amount of hours that he's done at Sebring and how difficult it is, and how much he enjoys the track. So, look, if you're looking for something to get around this weekend, it is certainly out there in the world of the endurance racing. And I'd say a fair few of these guys are either going to have a crack at Bathurst or a crack at something this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're running the 981 Motorsport team. Wow, that was close across the top of the mountain there. We're running the 981 Motorsport team in the 1000 on Saturday. So that is going to be one of two things, either exciting or successful. And I'm hoping for successful ahead of exciting, because you know what that means. And then, yeah, you're running at Sebring thereafter, so plenty to do.
Yeah, I've got a league race actually in the GT3 car at Sebring, so that's really good. It's such. I haven't run at Sebring in a long time, and having Chris take me around the track and share his love of it was just awesome. So if you guys are looking, I was actually pushing it onto a few other guys. I was running in some rookie Mazdas a little bit earlier today as well, and they were looking for a little bit of coaching, a little bit more know-how and those sorts of things. Well, if you want to pick any of that up, Chris Purnell's your man over at Virtual Motorsport Mentor is actually a supporter of the FGM ECast broadcast. So, Stuart, take it away.
Absolutely, he is, and we have to disclose that we do pay for the coaching that we get from Chris, but most certainly he is a supporter of our channel. His logo quite timely there, just coming up on the screen. So if you are looking to get some coaching or improve your iRacing in a couple of different genres, actually, he's on the circuit stuff, oval and dirt track. Chris Purnell, Virtual Motorsport Mentor, and the team will be able to help you improve your racing. And while we're on it, as the ticker ticks over there, Aftershock, your rig, your choice, Ryan and the crew, massive supporters of ours, and we love everything they do. We're trying to get them to help us get some new graphics cards, the new RTX 3080 that's come out and sold out all over the country. So we're hoping that we can purchase a couple through them to keep improving our stream for you. But be that as it may, fantastic guys to get a PC from, whether it's an entry-level computer or you're looking for something for a complete build. They're the people to go and see. So with that, we've got 10 minutes to go. So what we're expecting here, we're on board with Braden Nash at the moment. He is currently sitting in second at 57.63, literally 1/100th off the fastest time set by Brock Schaefer. Timothy Febben is in third. He has managed to move one of the NSR Porsches out of the way there, as that car was just parked on the road politely there. We won't focus on that one for too much. And we just jumped on board with Matty Bowler as well. So Mark Gibson, expect him to be quick too in the Porsche. We've got Tomo down the way. I know he's a fan favourite in the BMW, just running across the top of the mountain at the moment, sitting in 9th, doing a good job. There's a bit of smoke in front of him there. The big risk tonight, of course, is someone blocking the track across the top of the mountain there. We're hoping it doesn't happen. We did focus on it in the driver's briefing a little bit earlier on before they had a half-hour practice session. The other thing that we need to focus on, of course, is Dave Clements still at the top of the GTE category. Chris Purnell here, the second behind him. Michael Spithill as well, moving Sebastian Murray-Westberg out of third position. Of course, they are teammates. So the battle for the top steps in both categories is going to be on for this round. We've got 28 cars on track, handful of them in the pits at the moment, but 28 cars for this round. That is a full grid.
Yep, and well, you mentioned it. Chaos usually happens at the mountain. Hopefully, I mean, look, you know, not to put the jinx out there on anyone, but if you do racing at the mountain, chaos tends to unfold at some point. It's the nature of the circuit. It's the nature of what is effectively a purpose-built street circuit as you run around it. The walls are so close. The potential for mistake at any moment presents itself right the way throughout the lap. An engine can blow coming down Conrod Straight, and if you picked up some damage earlier in the race, well, that's danger. It's something that the drivers will have to be aware of, and you'll see. You'll see them probably communicating if there's anything untoward that is happening, because it's blind corners right the way around. It is a little bit of a car park if something goes wrong. So the drivers communicate nicely. We should be able to get through things. I can fond memories of trying to run the 3-hour endurance race here right towards the back end of last season. We ended up making the call that we weren't going to try and spot from our car. We were actually trying to spot the next car up the road that was about 5 seconds up the road, because the reasons for that, ladies and gentlemen, is if I can see it, it's too late. If we're watching a car 5 seconds up the road, we've got a chance to react to it. So that is the nature of the beast, and I'm sure the guys here tonight will. I can tell you for sure that the 981 Motorsport boys will be communicating and working together. The NSR boys will be communicating and working together. You'll have SMW and Spitty working together as well. So, but it won't just be that; it'll be the drivers also working together in between the teams to try and keep the racing as clean and as fair as possible and create those gaps when they need to be created.
Definitely what we want to see. So 7 minutes to go here, still keeping Dave Clements. Chris Purnell has moved up into second. He's still on another flying lap here. He's done a 03.42, still got just under 2/10 to find to get up on top of Dave Clements there, who's just finished another lap, not managing to improve his time, but going awfully close. Still the fastest man out on the track. So GT3's definitely in the heat here. You can see there the coloured line next to the names on the bottom of the screen. That is the category that the car is in. So don't be too confused by the numbers next to the names. Blue is our GT3 category. Yellow represents our GTE category. So as TK there does a 158.9, doesn't go any quicker. Brock Schaefer currently sitting in pit lane, probably just holding his breath for a minute just to see if he needs to come back out. Chris Purnell aborting that lap there. Not going to necessarily improve on his time.
Got one more chance. He might not be 100% satisfied. He might be coming down to grab a new set of tyres, get the fuel to the optimum level, and have one more go at it. Basically, from now, you're going to see drivers go for their last dash. Basically, if they haven't left pit lane in about the next minute or so, they're going to miss out. Is the nature of the beast. So Well, he's got his work cut out for him. It's been a while since we haven't seen the Purnell car parked on pole in the GT3 class. He did actually say last time, I think I recall him saying last time out that the Mercedes was actually the preferred car at Bathurst. Slightly faster, gets to stretch his legs a little bit more. So that could be coming through with Clemence's better time. I mean, if the Merc's better in a straight line, the Artie's got to claw it back across the top of the mountain. And remember just how difficult it is to try and find an inch, a centimetre of margin to stick the car down the inside somewhere right across the top of the margin. Just looking actually at Chris Purnell, the car's just gone up on the jacks as he's trundled through pit lane, so he is grabbing one more set of tyres and having one more crack. So that time, not done quite yet.
Yeah, so he's going to need to get the tyres on that and get out if he's going to get around, do the warm-up lap effectively, or the parade lap, however you want to call it, and then get back out on track to try and have a crack at Dave Clements, who's still lapping actually really consistently in that low 203 bracket. So definitely the fastest man to beat at the moment in that new liveried car. Looking absolutely fantastic. What part of the Mark 1 Motorsport crew on the back of that car there? That is something that I hadn't seen before. Not sure if he's just joined in with them or not, but cracking time nonetheless.
We're looking for who's on a lap right about now. Jeff Thomas is coming towards the back end of a lap. Ron Polito's just gone by the start-finish line. Matthew Broom has just gone by the start-finish line. That's a new name, I think, to the GTE class this evening, Stuart.
It is indeed, yeah. So we've still got drivers joining the field. And just putting out there on social media as well that we've still got room in our GT3 category. We'd love to get another half a dozen cars or so into that class, just to pump that out to make it a little bit bigger than the 12 to 13 drivers we have every week. So things still developing here. We're planning away in the background for Season 3, which will start obviously not too far after this one. We're actually taking a break in December because everyone will be crazy, hopefully, seeing family and friends and doing all the things that we haven't been able to do all year. So, and then we'll be back next year with Season 3 of the Endurance Series. We'll do some one-off events in the meantime, but that's a while away yet. Still got a few more weeks to go here.
All right, Captain's just coming to the end of a lap. Now, he has built a huge margin over, I believe it was Spitty, who's just in the background. Spitty was actually on him when they were coming through the cutting that lap. I don't know if he was lifting and letting him by. Did he manage to go faster? No, but missing it by that much, 203.33 compared to a 203.25. Actually, he might be on a fresh lap now, so don't take my word on that one.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. He's terribly consistent. It makes it sound really bad, but it's not. He's terribly consistent in that low 203 bracket. So he's going to be quick. If that's able to maintain that pace on full race fuel, then he's going to be the one to beat. As we jump on board here with TK, one of our Kiwi brothers, joining us in this race every second Thursday night. He is looking to improve his overall lap time from a 58.86. I can't get over the pace here. Of course, we are running very early morning. We've got 2 minutes to go, and that means track temperatures are good. General Bathurst race temperature, if you're wanting to compare it to V8 supercars during summer or what is spring, when that race is normally run, generally tends to get to around mid-30s to high 30s on track, if not higher into the 40s. Only in the very early 20s at the moment, because we did start this race or the practice session at dawn.
There, Captain was just making his way down the mountain, and he looked like he was actually on for a flyer, and got a little unsettled and looped it in the dipper. So his qualifying days are done. Purnell's in the lane, so I think he's done as well. So you can pretty much lock in the top 3 of the GT3 class. About the only ones who's going to be able to move themselves up the order is Hodak, Trahair, and O'Loughlin. Spithill's got a chance to move himself up from 3rd, maybe advance a little bit further. Febbin's on a lap as well. He would probably be up around the cutting, maybe starting to head across the top of the lap as we speak. He got into the 158.07, so he's got less than a tenth of a second to wipe off that lap, and he's also into the 57. So, Bowler has slidden down the order, Stuart. So we haven't got the NSR Porsches 1, 2, 3. It's NSR Porsches 1, 2, 5 So Gibson and Fevin have slotted their Porsches right in the middle of that NSR sandwich.
And of course, this is the battle, the team battle that we were expecting, as Febin does the quickest fourth sector of any car during qualifying. So he is on a flyer. Let's see whether or not he can get up. He needs to make up just under half a second to take second place, or on the front row of the grid away from Braden Nash. But it basically is Mark 1 Esports versus the NSR guys in this Porsche battle. So this is exactly what we were expecting to see, a response here from Febin. He's just got to get the car pulled up and get through the chase here as the the checkered flag comes out. He will get to finish this lap. Really important to get the car turned in and through here, not to run wide. He's right out on the edge of the strip there, pushing hard to get it, and he's done exactly what we said he needed not to do, which is to run that one wide. He was just trying to make up that little bit of gap, and unfortunately it didn't pay off. Mark Samuel's still out on track. Is he? He is, so we'll jump on board with him instead. Another one of the Mark 1 Porsches. And he's collected the wall as well there. Thanks very much for the like, Brendan. We appreciate it. So, looks like Schaefer just got out in time. He's on a flying lap. So is Braden Nash. I'm not sure how our timing screen didn't pick that up, actually. Braden's just about to come down and complete another lap. Looking at this stage like it is going to be no improvement for him coming around this lap. Not needed anyhow unless he wants to knock Brock Schaefer off for bragging rights, and I don't think he's going to get that done, is he? No, but look, a tenth, I should say, 100th even. I'll get there eventually between Schaefer and Nash at the top of the table, so they've had a cracking run. And the big news is it's Dave Clements on pole position in the GT3 category. Of course, we'll take you through the grid in just a few moments when we get the session over and done with.
Tell you what, Schaefer at the moment coming through into the chase. This will be his final lap, gets it through nice and cleanly, takes the kink, about to bring it under the Armorall Bridge to finish up his final flying lap. Down into Murray's, gets it turned in better than Febin did. Can he improve? No, that was a 159.89, so a mile away from his best on that last lap, so he left a little bit out there, but that's okay. Still, a 157.62 and a 157, wait for it, 6.3 done by Nash on that last lap.
Yeah, and that's what we're saying.
157.62, 6.3, what?
Extraordinarily close. And that's the way that we like it. I'm just trying to find out as well the GTE lap record. I'm pretty sure I know who holds it. I'm just waiting for this session to finish here. Yeah, so the GT3 lap record is a 159.29, so we're a little way away from that. Just seeing if there is actually a GTE lap record. Of course, the lap record, the current circuit lap record in the GT3, as I expected, was held by, is still held by Shane Van Gisbergen with a 2:01.67. So, extremely quick. We're a couple of seconds away in those ones. So, what we'll do right now, obviously the driver's about to head out onto the grid. Let's bring up our official grid for this one. We'll get that up on the screen for you there. And it is Brock Schaefer from Braden Nash for NSR taking out yet another clean lockout on the front row of the grid. Timothy Febin and Mark Gibson in third and fourth, with Matty Bowler and Henry Thomas Kirker coming in on our third row. We've got Mark Samuel, welcome to the series, on the fourth row with Tomo in the first of the BMWs, Timothy Russell in ninth, Pat Gallo in 10th, Jaden Sweeney and Jason Muscat, the first of the 981 VMM boys, in 11 and 12th, or on row 6 of the grid. So we continue to make our way back in this huge field. Got Ron Polito and Matty Broom in 13th and 14th. Phil Polito right behind him there in 15th, with Todd Gibson in 16th. Frank Hodak in 17th, and we've got Brady Buchanan rounding out our GT... Oh, my apologies, in 18th, and we've got Rez Polito rounding out our GTE grid in 19th. Dave Clements, the upset so far of the evening, and that's not to discredit the lap, but he has taken out pole position for the GT3 category with Chris Purnell, Michael Spithill, and Sebastian Murray-Westberg behind him. We've got Reece Grant in the second of the VMMA machines in 24th place as we move through to the back of the grid. And there we've got Brett Douglas, followed by Luke Trahair. We've got David Johnson in 27th, Braden O'Loughlin 28th, Reece Ashmore 29th, and Joshua Maynard rounding out our grid in 30th place. The start here, generally, what we do is the GTEs head off with the pace car, the GT3s take a 2 or 3 second nap, and then they'll head off to create a gap at the start of this race. GTEs will go when the light goes green. GT3s go when they cross the start finish line, which of course for our viewers to remind you is at the crest of the main straight, not at the finish point where you're used to seeing cars cross the line under the bridge. As the pace car pulls in, I'm going to let you take us away, Scotty, as we get this one underway.
Ladies and gentlemen, in Brock Schaefer's hands, and he takes us underway for lap number 1 at Mount Panorama. Down the straight, it looks like Bowler's got away. Sorry, no, that's not Bowler. My apologies. It's Fevin slides down the inside, so it's going to be as they lined up coming through the straight. There'll be a little bit of team orders at play, I think, to try and get everything nice and settled in. Not the worst possible thing ever. Back in the GT3 fields, there's a few cars just sort of bobbling around by the look of things at this early stage, and Clements is going to lead them away now, down into turn number 1.
Yeah, so I think there, unfortunately, Clements has not necessarily adopted the race start strategy that's supposed to happen there, so there'll be a post-race into that one, unfortunately for him. Perhaps not quite used to being at the front of the grid, but that will close itself up, I'm sure, as we get underway in the race here. As you said, Schaefer and Nash here just making their way across. This is the most perilous part of this race. Cold tyres coming across the top of the mountain for the first time, wanting to get the car through, get the grip, and of course you are under pressure. As you can see there already, Febin just trying to apply a little bit of pressure coming down the hill on the back of Braden Nash. Braden Nash will have none of that. He is well and truly experienced in defending a position if he needs to in the Porsche that these NSR boys know how to command. So he will not be worried about having Febin close up behind him.
An interesting strategy from the NSR Porsche boys to sort of split the draft like that. I don't like that this early, because that's Schaefer and Nash sort of giving Febin a lot more of a chance to really utilise the draft to try and get back in on the end of this one here. Very good under brakes by the look of things from Febin into the chase, so could be some differences in setups there, which is, if he's showing his cards early, we might see a dive on if he can set Nash up next lap. I'd really be looking forward to that one, I think. Be interesting to see. I was just sort of thinking to myself that it's going to be interesting to see Schaefer and Nash really be pushed a little bit more by Febin and Gibson right behind them. So not only when you're looking at racing like this, there's individual driver tactics. But then when you're in a team like this as well, there's team tactics. You sort of want to make your opponents have to think a little bit more, twist the screws in their head a little bit. Febin's job right now is to just tie himself onto the back of these Porsches and make them burn up a little bit of rubber in this first part of the race. Maybe look after his tyres as best as he possibly can, and then have a go for it right at the end of the race. He basically doesn't want to let them continue what they've done so far this season, and that's just stretch and show a clean pair of heels out in front nice and early. If he can keep some pressure on, it'll just change the way that the NSR Porsche boys have had to think.
It's really important here, as you say, to get through very much the first 20 or 30 minutes of this race. And that's the initial aim. You know, you get into these things, and it's, as you just see there, Schaefer uncharacteristically just getting a little unsettled as he's running back down the mountain. But you just want to get through the first 30 minutes. I almost think it's not really that important where you finish at the end of that 30 minutes. It's just to get through with your car in a straight condition, and then you can start to see how the race can develop around you and what you can do to get yourself through the event. Just see Brett Douglas there, unfortunately, in pit lane off an incident on the first lap of the race. So you really want to just try and manage your race to make sure that you get through and get clear, so you've got a strong car to then plan that next segment of the race. So that'll be on the minds of a lot of the drivers as they keep going here. So we've got NSR 1 and 2, Schaefer Nash. Then we've got Mark 1 with Febin behind him, and I believe Gibson as well, followed by Matthew Bauer. We've got Mark Samuels, Jeff Thomas, Pat Gallo coming through here, as it looks like TK might have had an issue. He's off on the inside. Did we get a notification?
Like
yeah, it looks like he's just had an off.
So it's just interesting interesting thing to just sort of keep your eye on nice and early in the piece. Febin's maximum speed down Conrod Straight was 289 kilometers an hour, which matched Nash's speed. But then again, if you have a look at the way the cars were performing, either he's slightly fuel saving, and I'm talking slightly, I'm not talking much at all, or I actually think Schaefer and Nash are running a lower downforce setup, a la what they did last time out at Le Mans, when they just streaked away to the lead. Their pace in a straight line was just mind-boggling compared to everyone else that was out there. So what that's going to do is that's going to give Febin better rubber at the end of the race. A little bit more downforce, a little bit more...
In fact, Gibson goes straight ahead there. Looks like he's managed to save that one, so that's good. And good driving from Bowler as well behind him to not run into him. So good driving there from those two.
Good job, nice job. And, well, I think that's what you mentioned earlier as well, a little bit of self-preservation coming through in these early phases. So, it's, again, we're just going to keep talking about it a little bit, but it's going to be in Febin's best interest just to attach himself to the rear of Braden Nash's bumper. And I tell you what, what are we, a couple laps already into the race, we're, 5 minutes into the race, and the front of the lead of the race is separated by 1.5 seconds or so. Under 1.5 seconds from third to first is a really, really good sign for the motor race.
It was a big lock up there from Bowler. And I actually owe Gibson an apology there. I said he was from Mark 1 Motorsport, but of course he's not. He's from Gibson Motorsport. So apologies to you there, Mark. You would have thought that by now, given that you've been racing with us since round 1, season 1, that I would understand the name of your team. So I apologise in advance.
Thanks, Stuart.
It happens. It happens. Well, you know what it is? It's because it looks very, very similar to, was it Pat Gallo's Porsche? Yeah, to the Gallo RMS Porsche. I know that there's a orange insert on that one, but they look very, very similar, and I had assumed incorrectly that they were from the same team.
Well, you know what they say when you assume something, Stuart.
Yes, I do indeed, and I can tell you what, it basically always rings true, so I should know better by now. Of course, here comes TK as well. He runs with the Gibson guys too. So the New Zealand contingent last week at the Bend, top 4 drivers in the final race, all Kiwis. Something in the water over there. They are all very, very good at the moment, developing drivers for real racing, and I can tell you as well, in the sim, these guys are very quick.
Take a look at the side of the TK Porsche as well. We've got a few names actually running down the side of that. So Spud, Toddy, TK, and Robbo. So I'm actually kind of interested to pull those guys aside at some point and actually ask them about those names and what they mean. It's really nice to see those sorts of things on the car, those little individual aspects. Having a quick bit of a further look into his car as well. TK, from whatever happened earlier, he's got the slightest of crinkles in the front left corner of the car. So whatever did happen there, he's picked up something for it. Could have run over a curb and that could have triggered it. That would be enough to do that. So he's going to have to look after that thing a little bit better than that for the remainder.
Yeah, absolutely. And Timothy Russell here joining as well from Redback Race Team. So he's currently running in 11th, down 2 positions from his qualifying position in yet another Bow Repairs sponsored Redback Race Team car. A great partnership there for them, and they certainly do plenty of racing to try and give that brand as much coverage as possible.
I'm just having a look through as the cars are coming across the line. Reece Grant was in pit lane as well, so something's happened to him in the opening exchanges, and He's now fallen well down the order. He's running about 30 seconds in front of Brett Douglas, and he's just sort of allowing the last remnants of the GTE field to sort of trickle on by before he gets back into things. He's nearly... Douglas is nearly going to lap down on the GT3 field, so whatever happened to those guys in the opening exchanges, they need to settle in and get their heads down and not necessarily be quick. Their eyes now will be on an hour and 40 sort of minutes time before they'll start rising rapidly. They need to be consistent rather than quick, I think, right now.
Can I tell you as well, after that that jump start, Purnell, Spithill and Murray Westberg are making progress on catching up to Dave Clements in the Mercedes, so won't be too much longer before he can start coming under pressure at the front of the GT3 field as well. So
I was going to ask, do we believe that's probably a self-redress?
Looking at the lap times, I'm going to say no.
Okay, so we think it's just a pace differential. All right, yep.
Just a pace differential, just the cars getting into it. Maybe a consistency issue, I'm not sure, but no, I don't believe it's a redress. So,
I mean, you know, for knowing these guys and knowing what they're like, it wouldn't surprise me if it was a self-redress, because they're if you look right up and down the field, I don't think there's anyone you could point the finger at and go, you're a dirty driver. They're pretty good sports. So, and that's what I like about watching AEE as well, is, you know, if something goes wrong, the driver themselves that committed the foul will be the first one to call it out. So
yeah, absolutely, and there's no chance whatsoever that Dave Clements would have done that on purpose. Maybe he just missed that in the driver's briefing, which does happen, and yeah, it's not an issue. We'll get on with it, and look, that's the advantage as well of having a 2-hour race. It's not really, it doesn't really have the potential to destroy the end result, because it's something that's happened very early on. Just noticed as well, Muscat in the pit there in, unfortunately, what looks like a very, very sad Porsche. So he's getting that towed. That will get a quick repair there. Sorry for the bad news. Jamie Morgan dropping into the chat and saying go Musco, but yeah, he's getting towed at the moment. That will get fast repaired. He will get back out into the race. So we jump back on board with the NSR guys running the race at the moment. Brock Schaefer, fastest third sector of the race thus far. Braden Nash right behind him. And Timothy Febben still keeping the pressure on behind Nash. This is good. That's what he needs to do. Just keep up at this point in time and then manage the strategy. These cars should get through to the L mark without a pit stop, which is always that critical point in time we talk about in these 2-hour enduros. You need to make it to halfway, otherwise you are going to have to fuel save, and they don't want to be doing that around at Mount Panorama, albeit there are opportunities to do it. It's not the place where you want to do it, because of course the pit lane is uphill. The first half of the lap is uphill. Being a mountain, that's generally the case. And back down the other side. So about 4.6 litres of fuel a lap used here by these Porsches as they make their way around. They've got a 99 litre tank, so wanting to try and make sure they get to the hour. And being early in the morning, I'd be surprised if any of our cars took tyres.
Yeah, I'm not expecting that. In fact, I'm actually expecting them, like, if we were to be able to run a triple stint, if this was, say, a 3-hour race, I'd actually expect them to go for 3 hours on the set of tyres in these conditions. So, track temperature at this stage is 21 degrees. So, the one that I would be expecting to be suffering in terms of tyres out of that lead bunch is either going to be Febben or it's going to be Nash, because they are running in the dirty air. Now, anyone who follows Formula 1, yeah, you know what dirty air does to those things. So it does contribute to increased tyre temperatures and slightly increased wear, and a little bit of understeer tends to be the factor. Most tracks, I know we're running a league race last weekend at Spa, and there was a lot of complaints about running in the dirty air, generating a lot of understeer in GT3 cars. So that's something you can definitely expect. I would be expecting something similar from the GTE cars. So especially coming up through the higher speed sections across the top of the mountain before you sort of head down through Skyline down to the Dipper. So something just to keep in the back of your mind is that, yes, look, they're going to benefit in terms of fuel, but maybe punished a little bit in terms of tyre wear, and whether or not Febben is just deciding just to sit in there and try and ease off a little bit and cruise with that slightly higher downforce setup as well. So again, mind games, things that will play out over the course of the race that we could sort of make some predictions about now, but we can't really lock in stone until that back end point.
There's a little bit of a pack that we've jumped on board with here with Gallo, Sweeney, Russell, Samuel, and just not too far off in the background, Ron Polito as well. So on board with the nose of Timothy Russell, who was across the skyline there, right onto the back of Jaden Sweeney in the 981 Motorsport Porsche. So he's giving Sweeney a hard time, a fair bit of pressure as well, but not too far that he can go with Sweeney fighting his own battle as well with Pat Gallo in front of him. So good time to just be managing your race a little bit here. You don't want to sit behind them too long if you are outpacing them, as there's a small mistake there from Gallo, just clipping that curb on the last corner. Not what you want to be doing. It generally fires you across into the wall on the opposite side of the track. But you can see him here close right up under brakes. Really good view of that Virtual Motorsport Mentor Facebook address on the back of Sweeney's car as they head back up the mountain. Be interesting to see if it is the under brakes he's closing in. Maybe the bias a little bit better set for using the Porsche effectively. Not too much of a difference there. Sweeney again clips the curb as well. Just have to pull that one back in to make sure he doesn't run too wide. Get penalised here very heavily for making a mistake, as you would all be aware. And this section of the track extraordinarily steep. No camera footage gives it justice just how steep the climb up the mountain here is. These Porsches very well balanced since the update, and you can basically drive them flat out across the top of the mountain here. You can just hear the drivers lift a little, and then they'll be back on the gas, and this is where Russell is a little quicker than Sweeney, so just putting the pressure on. Not a lot you can do here though, so Sweeney knows that. And be fully aware that he doesn't have to worry too much about a pass in this section of the track. This is the only place he could be susceptible. But you can see there he positions the car reasonably well on the inside of the track to make sure he gets a good run back out down the straight as we head back round again.
I was also going to say that's some really good product placement there. FGM ECast. Everyone out there that's already watching, hello! But you can also see the FGM ECast on his rear wings. That's good to see as well. I didn't notice that until now.
I'd like to say it was an accident, but it's just not.
It's planned and prepared.
Absolutely.
Whoa! I tell you what, that rear bumper is about to get some rubbing all over it as Russell's getting a little bit racy in terms of what he's trying to do. I mean, it'd be interesting to sort of see what's going through the drivers' minds. Obviously, impossible, but hey, whether or not Russell wants to get by Sweeney and get on with his business and get up the road, or if Sweeney's sort of holding back a little bit, trying to settle in. So we're through that very initial tyre warm-up phase now. That finished probably about 7 or 8 minutes ago. Now they're into that rhythm phase. Now they're just sort of settling in, trying to get through their stints. Their eyes will be set towards their first pit stop and the numbers that they need to drive. Now, you mentioned that the GTE cars were pretty much able to get through to the pit stop. Now, last time out in AEE at Bathurst, which was in last season, I tend to recall, was it Sweeney? And I can't recall who was driving with that ran out of fuel.
Yeah, they're not going to be happy that you brought that back up, actually. I'd forgotten about that. In fact, it was Reece Ashmore and Jaden Sweeney who ran out of fuel on the last lap in the Big Bertha M8 BMW that they were running in the endurance event here. So it was a co-driver event that we ran at the end of last season. So, but yeah, just a slight miscalculation there. They will not have that same problem again tonight, I don't believe.
I think they're both going to add an extra lap or two of fuel, I think, this time. But no, it is something to be aware of. I mean, you're an Australian, really, if you're unaware of Paul Dumbrell sitting in the Red Bull garage just nodding his head with the defeated look on his face of we've overpushed ourselves, we've overplayed our margins. So fuel is a consideration, more so because of the amount of time you're going to be spending stopped at the pit box. I also have a memory that I think the GT3 cars are going to be just short. So whether or not they go into fuel conservation mode, well, again, I think it's slightly too early to call. I think in about 20 minutes' time, you're going to start to see that come into play. These guys, by now, and with this being the second edition of the Australian Endurance eChampionships, a lot of these guys did the first edition, and they will have information. They've done practice, and they'll be aware of the numbers that they need to drive to, and what their general goals are, and where they're going to be saving fuel. So this is the mind games that you're going to see progress throughout the race at Bathurst. And honestly, this is my preferred aspect of it. I love these mind games, the fuel number games. They just, to me, they're so interesting.
So just jumping on board here with Luke Traher, he is currently in 4th place, up 6 positions from his qualifying, so he's doing a great job in one of the Virtual Motorsport Mentor Academy cars, and currently running 4th behind Michael Spithill. That field has spaced out a little bit now between Dave Clements, Chris Purnell, Michael Spithill and Luke Traher. We've got the captain, Dave Johnson, currently running in 5th in the box fit sponsored Ferrari for Rabbit Race Team there. He's just getting lapped by the race leaders, which is what we expected to see at around about this interval. Very, very clear instructions given during the driver's briefing that it's the GTE driver's responsibility to pass here cleanly. GT3's their responsibility is to hold the racing line so that the guys can get around them and we have a clean race, and so far tonight doing a fantastic job of it. But that is going to contribute as well to the lap pace of the front running cars, as they have to negotiate across the top of the mountain, the GT3s. However, the sector difference across the top of the mountain isn't that great, so it's not going to be huge, and they just want to make sure that they get through cleanly.
And I mean, over a just either side of 2-minute lap, you know, 2:03 was the fastest sort of laps in the GT3 cars, and 1:57 fastest laps in the GTE cars. There's not a massive difference in overall pace, and it all comes down to the straights mainly. The aero packages and the way that these cars do things, obviously slightly different. We've got a vast majority of the Porsches, so they're somewhat of a smaller car, somewhat of a more aerodynamically efficient car. Something like the Ferrari, designed for more of a Le Mans profile. So you'll see them sort of attack and the way that they turn and those sorts of things differently. I really like to me the biggest difference in sort of cars in these sorts of classes is actually the Mercedes versus the Audi versus the Ferrari, and the way that they all handle. The Mercedes, for those of you who are unfamiliar, is what the captain Dave Clements is running, and Sebastian Murray-Wesberg is running. Murray-Wesberg's actually slid down a few spots. Just having a quick look at that.
Yeah, he had an incident
very heavy.
early on.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, all right. What's happened to Febin?
Yeah, it looked like he had an internet connection issue. I was trying to jump on board with him, but he's actually out. So I'm not sure if if he had a dropout there or something like that, but he's actually disappeared out of the race. And there was no notice. Well, I did say that he went off track and came back on, but I'd say that's because of the disconnection. So
no, he's had a moment across the top of the mountain. He's had a big moment across the top of the mountain, actually. Just having a look at that, yeah. And I think he's sort of finished the lap and then gone, yep, all right, we'll move on, go do something else, I think. So.
Well, that is a pity, because he was putting the pressure on at the front of the field. Just had Jamie Bernau duck into the chat. Just say he's not much of a numbers man himself. He loves to hunt. I'm just a racer, not a numerical wizard. So
I never said I was good at the numbers. I never said anything like that. It's just I love the numbers game. That's all.
There's all the different outcomes that you can just continue to check as the race continues, and it's part of the fun that we get to have, conjecturing around who's doing what and making an educated, and I put educated in inverted commas, an educated guess at what's going on in the race. That's our job, and fortunately we get to do it in a safe space where there's little criticism if we get it wrong.
Little criticism? I don't know. I'm criticizing you. You criticize the things I say. I think it's part of the best part about us.
Yeah, but that's okay. I'm just talking about in general. There's not much scorn. We don't cop. If we get it wrong, we get it wrong. But I'm not going to lie, I think we've got it right more often than we've got it wrong. So
close. I don't think we've ever gotten it particularly like spot on, but we've gotten it very close a lot of the time. So
there's you know, there's the experience that you get from watching enough of it, and obviously we drive the cars as well, which helps us so understand what they're doing. Thanks for the stars there, Jamie. Appreciate it, mate. And yeah, it's just one of the advantages that we've got a little bit over those who don't run the cars quite as often as we do, because you and I obviously both spend a fair bit of time between the GT3s, GTEs, and the things that we commentate. So that does give us the inside word, shall I say. So we're still on board with Sweeney and Russell. Russell has not managed to get past Sweeney at this point in time. They're coming up on the back of, I believe, looking at that, I didn't quite catch a number there, but I'm pretty sure that's Sebastian Murray Westberg just in front of them there. He's battling to catch back up at this point in time.
He's had a cycle through the pit lane. Now, like we all said, I think he's on the risky strategy. That is what I'm going to say for now. Okay, look, sure, if he's had an incident, if he's had a bobble and he's needed to burn that fast repair early, he's got to burn the fast repair early. That's, you know, something that you got to get done. But remember how I said I think the GT3s are actually going to do a two-stopper here? This may actually play into his favour, because if he has a bobble early, gets far enough into the race that he can cover himself off with an early pit stop like this. Now if he's 1 or 2 laps out on his fuel numbers, if he's 1 or 2 laps in the positive, sweet, head down, push the whole race. If he's 1 or 2 laps in the negative, he's now got an hour and a half to save that fuel. He's got more than enough time.
Yes, and we do talk about the conjecturing. I am pretty sure that the GT3s will get through an hour here. The GTEs will get through, and 3s will get through an hour here. Sorry to correct myself there. So it's going to be interesting to see. I'm pretty sure the Audi will get through the hour. So if the Merc doesn't, then that's going to help.
I think it was, I remember saying the last time out, oh no, 58 minutes in, they're done for.
Yeah. That was at the Enduro, you're right.
Yeah, I think it's right on the buffer. So that just means that SMW is in a position where he never has to fuel save. I mean, I'm still going to err on the side of caution. You know, another trip through the pit lane, it's never going to work in his favour. But all of a sudden, here's the thing about it. He now needs to turn impressive lap times for the next hour and a half to give himself a chance.
And that's interesting there. Sorry to cut across you, Sweeney. Just taking the better part of Valor there and letting Russell through. I did notice on the last lap, Sweeney ran wide into Forest Elbow, so maybe suffering a little bit for overheating tyres, just having to push to keep in front. So managing his race there. And I did notice before, Natty, hey, thanks for the like, and I hope you're keeping well. Thanks for joining us on the stream. Nürburgring 24-hour on right now. The qualifying's on 2 screens going here. That is a maybe Jamie, you can keep us up to date on what's going on in qualifying for that. Qualifying on now. That's early. Didn't expect.
Time is it?
Yeah.
Current time in Germany is just after midday.
Yeah, what I more meant is it's only Thursday morning over there. Race doesn't start until what, this time Saturday?
Oh yeah. Actually, I don't know. I'm gonna do some research.
Yeah, if you can do that, and Jamie, if you can keep us up to date on what's going on, or Scotty, keep it on. Find a channel, give us some coverage. As I've just seen a purple flash across the top of the timing screen, and you'll never guess who it was. Brock Schaefer, fastest man through Sector 3 now. Just to add that to the other accolades that he has on the sector splits around this track. Still, the Nash has got the fastest lap overall, but I think that may well succumb this time around. Lights ablaze on those NSR Porsches. Very, very well set up cars, those, and driving like it right now, as they're actually up to the lead. Dave Clements, they're about to lap him this lap. Doing a great job as well. YouTube Total Nürburgring 24-hour channel live now. We'll keep us posted.
He's right.
Fantastic, Jamie. Thanks very much for the information. I did not know. What's the qualifying setup like there, Jamie? If you can let us know, what do they do? Do they have an hour? Do they have 2 hours? Obviously, you know, an 8-minute.
Hour and 26 minutes is currently up on the remaining time board that I'm looking at. So, and it looks like it's an open track for qualifying. So,
oh wow, that would be very interesting.
Yeah, I'm watching GT4 cars get harassed by little Honda Cup cars, basically.
So that's and who's running there this weekend? Have we got GTE 3 and
GT3, maybe GT4? There looks like there's a couple different kinds of Porsches out on the circuit at this point in time, but I couldn't tell you much more than that.
Yeah, so Jamie's just saying every car and every class, it's going to be hectic. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, looking forward to seeing some of that.
Trying to find a clean lap. Like, it's the cleanest lap, I think, gets it.
And coincidentally, I have the weekend off, so I'm not disappointed to find out anything that has just been spoken about. I know what I'll be doing. Just jumping on board with Matty Bowler here, getting into some more lap traffic as he's coming down the hill. I think that there. Thanks very much for the stars, Reese. Really appreciate it, mate. Just coming back up onto the back of, I think that there is the number is Brett Douglas, 76. So he had that early off, but is back into the race. Reese Grant in pit lane again, looking very second-hand, that Audi, and he'll be getting that repaired, as you can see there. Cleo's running around with R8s. That is insanity.
Oh yeah. It was like a Honda Civic hatchback that I was just seeing, like one of the all-wheel drive styled rallycross ones, but obviously with much longer gearing. Just like nearly ended up getting T-boned coming into the first corner by an Audi. Yeah, one of the GT3 Audis. It was scary. They're like 3-4 wide in most places on the GP circuit.
So one other that we haven't spoken about a lot tonight is our man Ron Polito, just quietly getting his business done.
Can we say fan favourite?
Oh, I think between himself and old Foot Fetish Phil, we've got absolutely the fan favourites, albeit, you know, the NSR guys get a good shout out, and Darren's joined us again. G'day Darren, thanks very much for tuning in. We'll jump back on board with Matty in a little bit. He is currently running third and doing a cracking job at that as well at this stage. Again, NSR lockout 1, 2 and 3 after an incident for Timothy Febben, who was splitting that top pack a little earlier in the coverage. The R8 got clipped by the Hyundai. How furious would you be? It'd be like parking your R8 in the supermarket shopping centre and having someone in a Hyundai open their car door into it. That would be just infuriating. Anyway, Ron's doing a fantastic job here. Got Phil Polito as well in his famously pink Porsche, doing a cracking job. And I believe Rez was going to join us tonight as well, but I think out of the practice session decided that he's only just got a whole new setup, deciding that it was not the night to be testing that out at Mount Panorama. So we did mention track temperatures earlier. Just thinking back to that earlier incident where Sweeney ran a little wide going into Forest Elbow. Just wondering if track temperatures might have had any part in that, but it's still a very pleasant 22 degrees on track at the moment, so not sure, potentially different setups there, just wearing the tyres differently. Look at this sandwich. What's going on here? So we've got Russell right up on the back of Pat Gallo there, so you'd suggest definitely. Yeah. Thanks very much for the updates, Jamie. Appreciate it. Jump in and let us know what's going on there. There's some heavy defending being done by Pat Gallo into the last corner. Try and make sure that Timothy Russell doesn't get past him under brakes.
He did look really strong under brakes, didn't he, when he was right up underneath Sweeney as well. So it wouldn't... I reckon he's going to sit here from Russell's side of things. Work him out a little bit, work out where the lap traffic is, and then line him up. I don't think he's close enough here to have a go down into Griffin.
No, he's got to be further up than that earlier on. And the braking point there is just at the end of that service road, so if he's not right up there, then he's just not going to get it done.
And there's lap traffic in the way. I tell you what, I reckon he's going to have Oh, I'd be curious to know how many laps he's been this close. Because I think again, I think he was trying to work Sweeney out and just sort of pick him up when he could, and then Sweeney just said, "Yeah, look, I'm just gonna get out of the way. I'm just gonna roll out and move on with my life. You move on with yours." But oh man, he's right there, isn't he? He's gonna have a crack. It's not far away, Stuart.
Oh, I jumped on the wrong camera there. Sorry about that. Just watch him down through here. This is the section where he was good, but obviously there's nowhere to go. So some lap traffic just up there in front of them as well. I think that might be Luke Trahere potentially. A little difficult to tell obviously from the back of the car, but it does look like one of those VMMA cars.
It's Reese Grant back out on track, so.
Reese Grant back out on the track, no worries at all.
So Reese will be getting out of the way here. Again, not quite close enough, and having the draft off the rear end of the Reese Grant Audi, that's really helped Pat Gallo survive another lap, but he looked vulnerable, particularly into Murray's.
Yeah, he's got to be patient here as well, because there's just nothing he can do. And as Jamie said in the commentary, in the comments there, nicely covered at the elbow to make sure that nothing happened as well. So keep with this battle. Do want to check in on Matty Bowler in a minute. And there's also a battle developing between Tomo and TK just in front of this pack. So a few interesting battles developing with just over half an hour gone into this 2-hour Enduro at Mount Panorama. Brought to you by FGM ECast. Of course, you know where you are watching, but our partner sponsors as well, AFTERSHOCK PC, your rig, your choice, and virtual motorsport mentor. Every time I say AFTERSHOCK PC, Siri turns herself on my phone and thinks it's time to go to Party Town. But I'm not interested in what you've got to say, Siri. This is too close to start worrying about what that is going on. Thanks very much for the follow there, Mushy. Appreciate it. Hope you're enjoying the broadcast as we continue to follow this battle between Gallo and Russell. This will probably give you the idea that you were looking for before, wanting to know how quickly this gap closed. So we spanned out to about a second there, and we're just going to see how quickly Russell gets back up onto the back of Gallo here. This is where his car is strongest. Two identical cars, obviously, but set up differently. This is an open setup category, so strengths and weaknesses on show.
And
there he is again, right up on the back of the elbow.
Yeah, he's really trying to set up that run down the Conrod. Not opting for the draft this time, but he's actually going to come out and alongside, and Gallo, I think, has just decided, I'm going to let you go here. Hasn't eased out of it.
He's got the boot into it. It is certainly an all Bavarian drag race down the Conrod Straight as they get through here, and the job is done. So whether or not Russell can clear off into the distance, 23 minutes there or thereabouts. The pit window definitely another 20 minutes or so away. You don't want to be pitting much earlier than that if you can avoid it. And yeah, Jamie, absolutely, it is done and dusted. So Tim Russell moves up another spot into 7th. I'm just going to quickly jump on with Matty here and see where he's at. The third component of the NSR sandwich. And he's just doing nice consistent laps at the moment. Very, very close to his fastest lap of the race, but consistently so in the very, very low 2 minutes. The guys just in front of him lapping around the same time, so those boys just treading water a little bit, which is all they need to do at the moment. 11 seconds up the road from Gibson behind him.
It's just sort of, yeah, thinking was Gibson did a 2:04 last time out. I did hear a little bit of chatter on the in-race radio about lap traffic sort of making way for Gibson. So I have a feeling Gibson was just sort of moving past that. So I think that lap time is nothing to be too concerned about at this point in time. So
a bit reflective of that, you reckon? And I think that
you
are spot on, as they are up to Dave Clements, I believe. And
yeah, they've just gone past.
Can I also, we've missed something here. Chris Purnell, currently now in 4th position.
Oh, that's a bent rear wing.
It is a slightly bent rear wing. So he's had an off there. It has shown that he's had an off. Just might quickly jump back and have a quick look at it. We missed that in the coverage of that battle. It's happened here across the top. Oh, he's had a slide. That is unfortunate. Doing well to
Chris Purnell too.
Yeah, doing very well to keep that one out of the way of the traffic coming through. So he it hasn't affected him too much. He is down now into 4th position. So just seen there as well, Mark Gibson having an off track, maybe running a little bit long in to the, no, that was actually a couple of laps ago now. So
Actually, I tell you what, I'm just hanging around on that incident for Chris Purnell. I actually want to say a big shout out to all the drivers there. That is a difficult place to get the car turned back around, but there's a little bit of awareness that's come into play from absolutely everyone in both classes that's had to drive around him. Hey, look guys, there's an incident, something happened on the road. Everyone sort of backed out of it, a few tenths, given the space, been aware, and Chris has been able to ride himself and not had to take a tow. So that is fantastic right the way throughout the field.
And also probably why we didn't notice it on the timing screen, because there was 2 red lines and that was it, and then off it went into the distance. So as you say, a good job from everyone there to get through and mean that everyone can keep going as we've got 20 minutes through. Yeah, absolutely, Jamie. We're pretty lucky here with the group of drivers we've got. A lot of them are very experienced, as you can see, very quick. So very unusual for Purnell to make a mistake, but everyone doing the right thing to make sure that it didn't end up costing him his race. I noticed Todd Gibson in the pits here with potentially some damage. I did see him have an off track as well. Just struggling a little bit with some of the traffic, so he is in pit lane now. And I think getting a tow back. Did say he came off track, didn't seem to be too severe. Anyhow, jump back on board here. Frank Hodak doing a good job keeping his car relatively clean and straight. That is one of the best liveries getting around on that one. Frank did that himself, I believe, as well. So just getting experience. Said he's got some new SimWorks stuff on his setup, a new rig and pedals and a whole heap of stuff that he was sending me photos of during the week. So they've done a good job in upgrading what he's got there. He tells me he's still got plans afoot to keep going. New computer and a whole heap of things coming for his setup. So for him tonight, about getting used to the gear more than anything else.
Laps, yeah, being out there, being amongst it, not necessarily being quick, but adjusting. Some of the higher end gear as well. You probably, I mean, yeah, I'm probably preaching to the choir here. It actually takes a little bit of setup and calibration. So whether or not he's still going through some of the setup and calibration aspects of the gear he's got at this stage, and still settling into that sort of thing. So, you know, a little bit down on pace from Frank, but I think the end goal for him tonight isn't necessarily anything to do with place, finishing position. I'd say it's just being out there and adjusting.
So Jamie just in the chat there just let us in on a little bit of a backstory there. He actually won the Le Mans 24-hour with Chris Purnell. So certainly familiar with his ability to drive, having done a fair bit of running with him. Thanks very much for the follow there, Miroslav. We appreciate it. Just jump back up towards the front of the field here. I'm just looking through our GT3 field, so there's a reason that I have done that. We will hop back down there. Excuse me. We will hop back down there. Just looking to see who's fighting at what. So we get into this sort of 18-minute before the hour mark window, and I'm going to start looking for fuel saving to see if we are going to get through to the hour mark without having early pit stops. Not sure that we will at this stage. Just one man who's caught my eye here, Luke Traher, up now into 3rd, up 7 places. He actually is our highest mover in the race at the moment. So up 7 spots into 3rd position and just lapping nice and clean. Again, probably not a bad thing if you're not getting too much coverage, because it means that you're not doing too much to attract the attention. So that is a good effort from him so far, up into 3rd place. And he is in the team championship with Chris Purnell, so they're currently running 3rd and 4th. That's going to do them a good service as we update the points at the end of this race. Tyrone De Silva's just jumped into the chat and says that they had a good team, so he also ran with Chris Purnell at the 24-hour there. So lots of support for Chris Purnell in the chat tonight. Fair bit of love for him, which is good to see. We love it when our viewers get involved on the chat and let us know things that we can't possibly know. No, it was a while back when they were part of the JP Simshed team, and he was with another team. Okay, yeah, fair enough. So lots of history there.
Sick. I love, like, there's so much about sim racing, because you got to remember that I'm new to the platform. I don't know anything about it. This is sort of my first foray into Australian leagues. I don't drive in any, so, well, that's a lie. I drive in the NSCAR Grand National Series. That's about my taste of Australian sim racing. So to be able to talk to the guys out there and chat and actually pick up tidbits, this, that, and the other. So always adds to our commentary, and I really like talking to some of the drivers about their history and, you know, what got them into it, where they've been, what they've achieved, what they've done. So
Yeah, absolutely.
thank you very much.
We've got a thanks for the like there, Tyrone. We've got a really good community here in AEE. We're very lucky. We said it before earlier on tonight. So that's good fortune supported by the chat. We also, as I said, love it when you all get involved and let us know what's going on. And definitely, Jamie, Tyrone, do jump into League next season if you want to get involved. We do still have some spots available, certainly in the GTE field, GT3 field, and we'll have to see about GTE, which was full at the start of the year. We're on board with Jeff Thomas at the moment. Again, I know he is a well-supported participant in the JWM BMW. Those of you who don't see any of our other coverage, Scotty definitely knows I'm a big fan of supporting the underdog. And as the only BMW in our GTE field, he is the man that gets my money. So, and I love his livery as well. So, you know, it's very clean, and that suits me to a T. I don't know what it reminds me of yet. I've been trying to work it out for weeks. What race car it reminds me of, and I think it goes back to the Group A days in Australian touring car racing. But I'm still not quite sure why. So I'll do some research.
Too young for that. I was going to look at it and say it's just a color shifted variant of the old BMW liveries with the what, blue, white, and red.
Yeah, that might be it. So I'll do some digging. I'll find out. We've covered off a few unusual topics on the broadcast over the time. Wow, there's an Audi parked back to front on the inside of the track on that hill there. Just trying to work out who that is.
Reese Ashmore. Is it? Oh, I've got a notification. Reese Ashmore has had an accident in nearly the same place that...
yes, it is. Darren, my man, bringing through the money. That's exactly what it is. It's the Alan Grice Chickadee Group A Commodore. Wow, this is perilous here from Ashmore. Trying to get the job done. Actually, he's done really...
no!
He's done he's done really, really well there, actually. Really well. So, and Josh, always, mate, if you want to get a car up and running, there is always room to try and get you a run. I thought he'd done the wrong thing there, Reese, but he's actually done a really, really good job to try and turn that car around in an extraordinarily difficult part of the track without impacting anyone else's race. So, good job, Reese, in getting that through. Did you see how he did that there? I don't know if I've ever seen a car turn itself around on that part of the track before.
Without causing a major incident. That's certainly for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Good job.
And not only that, he gets back into it, and he immediately bails back past. Sorry, was it Reese? No, it was Ashmore.
Reese Grant went past Reese Ashmore there, so...
Okay, I got excited then for a second.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Same car, same livery, same first name. What are you going to do? So, but yes, no, Darren's right. It looks like the Alan Grice Chickadee car from the Group A, Group C days. So
there you go.
That's
Too
the
old
one.
for me.
That's the one. Yes, but well, part of the history of motorsport, you've got to get yourself around. Grab a couple of the old DVDs. You know what a DVD is. You're not too young for that.
I have a VHS tape. My favorite driver in the world is Craig Lowndes. Surprise, surprise. I have a VHS tape of the highlights of him winning the championship in 1998. So. Oh
yeah, and you know what? In one of my favorite cars.
It was a pretty car, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
That was the year that they actually switched over. I think it was to the VT. It was where they went from the sleek, Irish Commodores to the more puffy, rounded ones.
Yep.
And the first time out, they ran at Hinderton Valley. they had all sorts of electrical and engine issues with them, and there was one race they couldn't get them started in. Major accident on the first lap, and all of a sudden they fired them up and got them out and onto the back of the grid. So that was just after he'd started teaming up with Mark Scape. I think that was the first season of him and Mark Scape, actually.
We've got a hashtag Leons for life. I am, again, so just not showing my age here actually, but I'm a massive Larry Perkins fan. Love the 1997 Bathurst win that he had with Russell Ingall is my all-time favourite Bathurst win from anyone. He ran rings around everyone in practice and qualifying, fastest car by a mile, and then on the very first lap, it's the man that you're talking about, Craig Lowndes. His exhaust actually cut the left-hand rear tyre of Perkins' car on lap 1, so he ended up getting a flat tyre. He went a full lap down, came from last lap to first, I should say, throughout the day, and did it through engineering, which is what I love the most about it. The first car ever to run Mount Panorama without a brake pad change, doing the 161 laps. So that sort of thing just took my fancy. And they've just finished, actually, Jack doing a fantastic job at Perkins Engineering. If you're not on their Facebook page, jump on. If you love looking at the old cars, they're getting in and getting a lot of the Perkins Engineering cars restored, including that one, my favourite, the 97. That's been done and dusted. I saw that down at Phillip Island at Island Classic. So, yeah, jump on board and have a look at that. Anyway, long story short, that's where I'm at. The Perkins Engineering cars, my favourite by a long stretch.
Sorry, apologies. We've got a few cars in the pit lane at this point in time. Reece Ashmore just spun it coming out of Hell Corner, so I was just keeping an eye on Reece Grant and his progress back up through the field, and I just happened to see Ashmore in the background suddenly facing down the wrong direction down pit lane. Sorry, Reece, that's the way you go down the end of the race. You peel off in behind the pit lane, not at this stage. A little bit too early, brother.
Probably struggling a little bit for tyres there, I would guess. Maybe that's the issue after that spin. And thanks very much for the follow there, Sean, as well.
To Conrad without braking a great deal, just using engine braking.
Yeah,
I mean, it was about management, wasn't it? I mean, you talk about the engineering feats, but then it's not just the engineering feats as well. It's the drivers working with the engineers to make something like that possible. So.
Yeah, well, and actually, I mean, Larry designed the caliper himself. It was all designed in-house. They had a brake pad manufactured specifically for the car in Japan that had enough material on it to go for the full distance of the race. The other thing as well about that one, I'm not sure how many can remember, but it was actually the anniversary of, I believe, Bo Seaton winning at Bathurst, and Glenn Seaton led that race for pretty much the whole race until he snapped a rocker after a safety car period going up the mountain in the Ford, and ended up parking it just behind the safety wall there. So it's a fantastic race, like all Bathursts are. I don't know that there's ever been a Bathurst that's been boring or been a procession. So yeah, just a good piece of history.
I think you've just reminded me. I think one of my favourite ones of all time, I think it's got to be the race that started raining with a late safety car. I think it was 2010, and all the drivers are out there going, do we go another lap on the slick? Because there's only 2 or 3 laps left here. There was like 15 minutes. Oh, that was a great one, because it was Frosty was in that one, Lowndes was in the car, Tender, I think, was up there and in the mix as well.
It might have even been the one that Winterbottom won.
I have a feeling Lowndes might have won it.
2010?
That
yeah.
one.
I know as you get older, they start to get a little bit dusty, those ones, because generally you're doing other things for the entire weekend rather than when you're an early teen. So, and yeah, Jamie, you're not wrong. Glenn Seaton, probably one of the unluckiest men in V8 supercar racing, and I can tell you what, I'm lucky enough to have raced in the historics down here in Victoria, and he was running with us for a little while, and my God, was he quick in a Capri. Drove away from everyone in an underpowered Ford Capri. So
it's just a fan favourite. So he's just a lovely, lovely all-round guy, Glenn Seaton. I used to love watching him race in the open-faced helmets.
Oh yeah, of course, and PB doing the same thing, those open-face helmets.
Yeah, 99 at Winton, V8 Supercars had a throwback. Was the first ever race at Winton on the current layout, and first time the V8 Supercars were there on the current layout, and Ingle was running what looked like an off livery in the silver and white, which unlike those guys, Larry Perkins, Glenn Seaton, Craig Lowndes, and Mark Scaife within the Mobil 1 team were in different cars. They were actually in different styles of Commodore.
Oh, okay, yep.
It's all out there. I actually linked it to a few friends in the States that are like, oh yeah, V8 Supercars are great, yeah. Go and watch this, boys. This is V8 Supercars.
Just noticed that Vincent Muscat's made his way through the field in the GT3s. He's now back up onto the pack of GTEs. So after his early off, we've got here 5 cars out at this point in time out of the race. Just to pull it back into the one that we're watching at the moment, we'll head back into some of that history in a bit. But we're expecting to see pit stops 5 minutes until that critical point in the race where you want to be making it to before jumping into pit lane. These two running nose to tail at the front of the field here the entire race thus far. Schaefer with just on half a second lead as they continue to make their way through the lap traffic there. Chris Purnell, I think just up in front of them here, back up into third. And Luke Trahere as well, still doing a great job in 4th place. He has lost that 1 place to Purnell.
Tell you what, Chris is don't forget here, Chris is actually pushing on with the damaged car. He is aware of the minimum targets that he's got to get to in terms of fuel and lap mileage and race times. So it's not an easy thing to push on with a race car. Honestly, it looks like it's just a light tap, so the benefit's there. But still, pushing on with a damaged car, you'll be losing pace. You'll be wearing something that does happen that not a lot of people are actually aware of, is that when you've got a car in a state like this, it wears the tyres differently. So all of a sudden, you might end up with a front right or something that's a lot hotter than it would normally be, which abrades that tyre away much, much quicker. So just managing those sorts of things in a race like this is super critical. When he pits now, his race is over. He's got to make up effectively a whole pit stop in terms of time after already taking a spin early in the race and then obviously losing 15-20 seconds to get that car back around and right it and pointing in the right direction. So don't overestimate, how easy that car might be to drive right now. That thing might be an absolute nightmare for him to try and manage for another 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, definitely, and obviously the effect there it has on your race pattern as well, with all the practice and stuff that guys do in the category, how that impacts on the outcome of your normal lap routine as well. They need to adjust to it. So, but we're definitely lap traffic here, just affecting things a little bit for Schaefer. But there's not a lot the GTE guys can do across the top of the mountain. They're fighting for position there in front of these two. And albeit there'll be blue flags waving, there's not a lot of room for them to do anything. The NSR boys here just have to bide their time. Too much pressure on them. Could end up with a mistake from one of the GT3s in front and ultimately damage their overall race. So they've got a gap. Of course, these two 26 seconds in front of Bowler in third.
Or did you notice Grant there tag the wall?
Yeah, he's struggling a little bit with the Audi tonight, Reese, and I'm not sure if that's just a consequence of not being in the car for a little bit. Obviously a couple of weeks off between rounds and massively different tracks here between between Le Mans where we were last week and obviously the challenge that Mount Panorama presents. So just maybe taking a little bit of time to adjust to it, but he's been in the wars a little bit. What we might do now, I'm just going to jump on board with Brock Schaefer for the next lap. I just want to hear if he is doing any fuel saving as we have 2 minutes to go until critical lap.
There's a car off in the background actually at at Murray's there. I didn't quite catch who that was.
That was Reese Grant again.
I think you're right. I think he's just lock brakes. Joshua Maynard was off track as well.
Yeah, might have been
also at Murray's. Interesting. Alright, a lot of shuffling going on there and thereabouts. So anyway, that's racing. On with the job.
So we won't get any true indication here until we get across the top of the mountain. Just climb up the hill here. On the throttle the whole way through here. Just slight little lifts here and there to get the car to turn in. This is where we'll start to hear it.
Grab the clutch at the top of the hill if you want to save. And just roll it down. You'll still have to grab the brakes a little bit, but one of the best ways you can save around the mountains is just grabbing that clutch when you can on the run down here. Not using as much throttle as you normally would. Oh, I think we're fine, Stuart.
Yeah.
I think
we're
we're
going to get
good.
there easily.
We're there and thereabouts right now. So
do you reckon he'll pit in on the hour?
I think these guys will run as long as they can. I don't expect them to pit early. I would probably think that they would run and with as long as they possibly can on a lower tank because their lap pace will be slightly better. Oh, never mind.
In. And there it is.
Look at curse in action.
And yeah, Jamie, absolutely, his setup is well done, and Phil Polito doing a smart thing there as well. He's jumped in. Chris Purnell has jumped in pit lane too. He'll be looking forward to getting that rear wing fixed and getting back out there under full pace.
I was gonna say, I expect probably the first person to be diving down pit lane to be Chris Purnell out of everyone. So. Interesting to note in terms of strategy, don't forget SMW got 8 laps under his belt before he did pit very, very early in the piece. Matty Bowler's actually made his way down pit lane as well. So there'll be a few drivers diving by. Don't forget Braden Nash has been sitting in the draft of Brock Schaefer's Porsche the entirety of the race up until now. So it wouldn't surprise me if maybe he's tried to do the sneaky on his teammate and save 1 or 2 laps
Get a bit of an undercut,
fuel.
you reckon?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if all of a sudden if Schaefer doesn't pop out the other side and just go, hey, no, this is what my rear wing looks like. Take full note because you might be seeing a little bit more of this for the rest of the season.
And TK going a lap longer as well here as all these cars start coming out of pit lane back into the traffic. This is where it's going to get interesting again. We've got, we're going to have a big mix of cars jumbling themselves back up together as the pit stops often present for us. We've got Gibson, Bowler, Russell and Jaden Sweeney all in pit lane as well in our GTE category. The GT3's the captain Dave Johnson's ducked into pit lane. Just the second of the GT3s to go into pit lane. Of course, a little bit of a mixture. Dave Clements in pit lane now as well. So a little bit of a mixture in terms of strategies there with some early damage to some of our GT3 runners. So keep an eye on who has to pit and when. Braden Nash now in this lap, entering pit lane there. Pit entrance is very important here. And he's actually gone in a lot quicker than Timothy Russell, I believe that was in front of him. It might have even been Matty Broom, my apologies, but very, very much quicker than that Bow Repairs Porsche on the way in, getting right up next to him. So you can just see the difference that a good, strong entry into pit lane can make in terms of your overall pit transition time. So what we're looking for here is Brock Schaefer. Where does he come around? He's heading back down the mountain, down the straight as we speak.
I was just watching him on that last lap. He was actually quite heavily caught up in lap traffic. There was a fair few GT3 cars and a couple of GTE cars, including one of the Politos that was caught right there in front of him. TK is going to make his way down through the pit lane at this point in time as well. So it would not surprise me if Nash pops out in front here.
Well, let's have a look. If you're looking on screen now, you can see that track map. Look at the wall of cars coming up pit straight now and the cars that are leaving pit lane as well. He has. He's managed to get the cut done, and he's done it by quite a margin too.
It's that lap traffic. I'm not going to say it's pit stop or anything like that. I reckon it's actually lap traffic that's done him in here.
3 seconds. And yeah, Jamie, you've called it right, mate. Nash got him easily. The gap now 2.8 seconds. That's the biggest gap we've seen at the front of the field all evening so far. So all about getting the pit lane entry, getting the everything to go together. And Ella Clark in the following there, very happy as well about Matty Bowler's performance. He's doing a great job. And yeah, that clean second lap, getting out free of traffic, I should say, has paid dividends for Nash. He's now at the front of the field. And what's more important, he's not having to deal with anyone in front of him. So still got Schaefer behind, I think it's Mark Samuel?
So
Matty Broom, my apologies. Matty Broom just got the job done there. And that's all played into Braden's hands.
Well. Schaefer may not be the happy chappy after all that. 1 lap longer in the tank, 1 lap longer in the tooth, and Nash steals the lead of the motor race. Well, Stuart, do you think we're going to get an NSR fight on our hands?
Well, you know what? Those guys will have the bigger picture in mind as well. They'll understand.
I'm sure they will.
Yeah, they'll know that the team championship is important. Matty's clear in third at the moment. He's pretty comfortable where he is. So we're just on board with Michael Spithill, who has jumped into pit lane. So they'll know that a 1-2-3 again here this week is a fantastic job for them, and hauls another heap of points into that team championship that they'll want to take away with them as well. So we'll see. We'll see. They didn't race last time around, and the gap was reasonably close, but we did end up seeing Nash go through on Schaefer for the lead of the race at Spa. At Le Mans. I keep saying Spa, at Le Mans last fortnight.
So many good tracks on the endurance schedule. It does having them mixed up a few times. So we're actually just taking a look. Looks like we're in terms of Nürburgring qualifying. They're into the last hour now of that. There's actually a 3-second gap between first and second, and then there's like a 10-second gap back to second. That's how spread out the qualifying is in the GT3 class at the moment. So something to keep your eyes on if you're looking for motor racing this weekend. The Nürburgring's out there. Stuart's going to be running with the 981 Motorsport crew and the Bathurst 1000. I'm running league races and other official series, not so many special events. So I'm sure these guys would be. I'd imagine that they're doing something this weekend. Either they're running a 6-hour run at Sebring, they're running a 3-hour race, they're running a 90-minute individual race, or they're doing the 1000 as well. Where do you think Nash and Schaefer would be?
I don't have the foggiest, to be honest. I believe that NSR are entering a car at Petit Le Mans. I think they're going to be running in the LMP2. So obviously a fairly active calendar for them. I know Brock Schaefer as well took out the Formula 5000 series last Friday night as well. So they're very busy boys in terms of their sim racing. They do a lot of it. And Jamie there, mate, no apologies needed if you're stuck watching our telecast ahead of the coverage of the Nürburgring. That's perfectly acceptable. Probably the only excuse that is acceptable, I would think, for not watching the Nürburgring races, because you're here on eCast watching the Endurance Championship instead.
I understand. It's okay. It's hard to take your eyes off what we're seeing unfold. I'm like stuck to it too. In fact, maybe for different reasons.
In fact, Jamie, I think that we need to apologise to you for not having the 24-hour qualifying on the screen on the broadcast, so
we've got picture in a picture, don't we?
Well, yeah, except I'm sure there's I think they call it copyright infringement and things like that just prohibit us from rebroadcasting a broadcast. But we would do it if we could, absolutely. And Jamie just saying that himself and Tyrone De Silva are doing the 6-hour at Sebring as well with Mully Motorsport, so you're likely to encounter those boys.
What split are you guys doing? Always love to communicate with other endurance racers.
Just while we find that out, just sitting on Sebastian Murray Westberg here. So you did alert the viewers to the fact that he did pit early, lap 7. I just checked on that, and that is not good news at all. I've just seen come up on the screen here. Pete Bowler's had an incident. I think he's got caught up with Joshua Maynard. Yeah, he has there. That is very unfortunate. Not even sure quite what happened there.
That is an odd one.
It's a very odd one. It looks like he just pulled up too early for Bowler to turn back in. Hopefully not too much damage done there. It doesn't look like the damage is too severe to the right-hand front corner of that car. And Bowler will continue. Just keep an eye on his lap times here. Car looks okay. It's got a little bit of damage on the right-hand front corner there, you can see. And he'll get back on and get running. Does put him under a little bit of pressure with that closing the gap to Gibson behind him down to just under 10 seconds. So it's not diabolical, but again, that's the sort of stuff that can happen when you're getting through the lap traffic. And we don't like to see it, but it can happen. It's part of racing.
We could start a GoFundMe for the copyright infringement fines.
Yeah, absolutely. We could do that.
Well, talking in the man of the hour at this point in time, I'm just actually watching Brock Schaefer slide on by Sebastian Murray-Wesberg. So you were mentioning Murray-Wesberg has inherited the lead of the field due to the fact that
yes, sorry, that's what we were talking about.
Yeah, one stop. But the fact that he's completed a stop, and as well as the other guys, like his stop would have been a splash, would have been around, quick repairs normally, what, 1-2 seconds. You generally take a windshield tear off because why wouldn't you? And then you'd probably take about, done 8 laps worth of fuel, so it would be about, you know, somewhere about 6, 7, 8 seconds worth of fuel would have been topped back up into that car. So he's got less fuel to take on, and the pit lane delta is only like 20 seconds here at Bathurst, so don't count him out yet. I think he still might be on the podium.
Yeah, no, definitely not. I was trying to work out, he's going to end up pitting, I think, at around about lap 37, if he needs to, well, which he will need to do. So lap 37, expecting around 45 laps in the race. So we'll... lap 45? No, roundabout, sorry, my apologies, around about 60 laps in this race. Thanks very much for the like there, Wendy, hope you're well. And yeah, I think it's around about lap 60 we'll expect this race to finish, just depending on the lead cars. So, be good to see what position he's in there. He's currently got 6.8 seconds over Dave Clements. And thanks for the follow, Tyrone, too. So he's going to drop down, going to come out, I think, just in front of Luke Trahair in 5th place by the time he gets that pit lane transition done. If he keeps building the gap back to Luke in 5th.
It'd be interesting just to keep all of that on the horizon. So you know what? We're under 50 minutes left in this motor race, so all of a sudden, few bits and pieces, a few bits and bobs are going to start shaking themselves out. So look, the important things and the important details to note are that we're pretty sure that every single car in the field is fine on fuel. I don't think we've got a single car right now that's that has a question mark over the top of it in terms of fuel. So that's the good news.
Let's run to the end.
Bad news, I don't think, just having a quick look through all of the tyres and the numbers and things, in the pit lane, David Johnson may have taken tyres. I think that's it. Maybe Josh Maynard. He took a bit of an extended time through the pit lane, so I'm not 100% sure on that one. But yeah, so one car in the field taking tyres, everyone else taking a full tank. Yeah, we're pretty much set from now through to the end of the motor race.
It does look that way. Just checking in with Matty Bowler there after that incident. It doesn't look to have affected his car too badly in terms of overall pace. 201.76 that lap out after the incident. Brett Douglas here. It's actually his first race of the season this evening. He's finally got his gear fixed back up and is out running in the Audi for the first time. So good to see him back in. Of course, finishing 3rd in the inaugural season of the Australian Endurance eChampionship. So welcome back to Brett. A little bit of a baptism of fire to come back and do it at Bathurst, but he, after that early incident, has run pretty well. Had a question from Jamie. The track temps currently building, so it is only 8:16 in the morning sim time at Mount Panorama, so 24 degrees Celsius. By the time we finish this event, I anticipate we'll be somewhere around 27, 28 degrees based on what I saw through the practice during the week. November 15th is the sim date. That's actually my wedding anniversary, so happy virtual anniversary to my darling wife. Yeah, it is going to be around about 29 degrees by the time this finishes. So you'll notice the lap times will fall away a little bit because, as you just pointed out there before, Scotty, only one car taking tyres in the allotted pit stop window. So, but I don't expect the wear on most of these cars to have dropped much below probably 75% by the time they finish the stint. So, yeah, Jamie, certainly better than the 40 odd degrees we would normally see. I think around about 11 o'clock when the 1000 starts, that's pretty much where the track temp will be. So we did this to make this one a little more friendly, and because we like the look of a sunrise.
Well, we like the look of a sunrise and cars staying on the track. The more cars there are in it, it's more encouraging to the drivers to stay out there. If track temps are more conducive to good racing and grip levels.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to keep the drivers happy sometimes.
But who doesn't like the excitement of, you know, a few flips over the wall and things like that? I wonder if at the end of this one anyone will try and make the jump at the end of Conrod. We'll see. We did have some big celebrations here. This is actually where we finished season 1 of the Endurance Championship. And there's a fantastic photo that Dave Johnson actually put up in the Discord for the drivers at the end of the season of his Porsche doing 2 or 3 flips throughout the air, and it looked pretty fantastic. Certainly not something you want to do in real life, obviously, but it's the benefit of the Sims.
Yep. I agree. 100%. 10 out of 10 agree. Like, I can't believe that I didn't know about the flips and things at Bathurst up until only recently. Like, I have been missing out on some of the best parts of sim racing throughout the years without knowing about that one. So, look, I'll take the advantage. Is that who I think it is in pit lane?
It is indeed. That's why I've popped it on the screen there. Murray Westberg in pit lane now, doing his scheduled stop that'll get him through to the end of the race. Chris Purnell having just gone past him down the main straight there, so he will, I reckon he's going to pop out just in front of Luke Trahere. So Luke Trahere's just making his way down through the last part of the track here. Murray Westberg still, he's taking tyres. That's interesting. He's one of the few that taking tyres there, maybe with the drive having to push a little harder to get that done. Jamie just saying in the chat he races in VR and hasn't done the jump. I can tell you, Jamie, I race in VR too, mate. Do it. You are missing out. It's an experience. Not quite as bad as flipping one of the stadium trucks or anything like that. Yeah, one that you definitely want to have a crack at. And if you land it, there's no issue. So I guess that's got to be your objective, is to actually land the jump. As we're on board with Luke Trahere, who has made it through past slightly extended stop there for Murray Westberg, obviously deciding to take tyres too, but he's going to have to chase down Luke Trahere and Chris Purnell. He's about 4 seconds away from Luke Trahere. Fresher tyres, he should be able to make that gap up. He's actually been lapping quicker than Luke throughout the night, and that's helped him make that gap back up. So
it's actually been a bit of a tough run for Sebastian lately. I mean, we ended up talking about it a little bit in depth after the Le Mans race, but he the last time out, he came out of the pits, did a lap, and I think his actual first flying lap after the stop, he ended up in the wall and had to come back in. So it's been a little bit of some uncharacteristic mistakes coming from the Murray Westberg Mercedes. So
yeah, absolutely, you're right.
Right out, yeah.
he's had to battle through, so he's not unfamiliar with having to do what is in front of him over the next 42 minutes. So Brock had a
maybe he
go-kart
enjoys
meeting
it.
at
Maybe
Wollongong
it gives him
on
something to
Sunday.
drive to.
So Chris Jackson in the chat, sorry, I was just reading that Brock had a go-kart meeting at Wollongong on Sunday. 2 wet races, 2 dry races, clean sweep, won all 4 of them. Thanks for letting us know, Chris. That does not surprise me at all that he managed to do that. He is very talented.
Horsepower, 911 turbo, out of body experience.
Yeah, right. Just seeing Polito get through there underneath Trahair to head back up. Trahair having a few internet connection issues there as well, dropping in and out, which won't be helping those around him. No, he has just moved into a new home as well, so good for him in getting that done. Mark Gibson closing in a little bit now on the back of Bola, hoping that the damage from that earlier incident not affecting him too much. I think it may even be just lap traffic. His last lap, 2:03.75, so quite a slow one in context of the rest of his race so far tonight. So just keep an eye on that. Of course, unfortunately, getting involved in a what double AMI might call a not at fault. His no claim bonus still protected, but he unfortunately struggling, I think, a little bit out of that. It's just slightly taken the pace out of that NSR Porsche. Having said that, he's responded with a 2:01.41 there, so maybe hopefully just more the traffic than the car itself. So he and Gibson now lapping it around about the same time. We've got TK currently running in 5th, a little bit of damage on the back of that wing, so he's obviously done that since his pit stop, which would have repaired that for him.
Is that a Supra going up in smoke, or is that a... it's a Mustang. Sorry, it's just flicking back over to Oliver Sprungman's Ford Mustang GT currently in Nürburgring practice, just smoking from the engine bay at this point in time and looping it in front of field of some GT3 cars. So that's currently what's happening on that side of the planet.
Sorry to hear about that, Josh. We will have a look at that after race, of course. We did see the incident with Matty Bowler. We weren't quite sure what happened there. It was reasonably unusual, but as always, we'll have a look at that one afterwards.
I think when you have a look at Bowler's, I think Bowler just judged it wrong. I think Bowler... Trahair is actually facing backwards, and SMW's just gone by him. I think Bowler might have been watching the rear of your car. It looked like a driving error. It 100% looked like one of those moments where you just sort of had a brain fade and stopped thinking about the race, and then you snap back and you're like, oh no, I've got to brake.
Just noticing there as well, sorry to cut across, a little bit of damage on the front of Murray Westberg's car. Yeah,
that'll be Trahair.
Yeah, you just got a clip there as well on the Trahair car, so internet issues there not helping Luke at all, as you can see. So disappointing there. He's had a really, really clean run all night, but that does put Murray Westberg back up into 4th position now, and he will be hustling as crazily as he can to try and catch Chris Purnell. He's got a fairly hefty gap to make up, though, 42 seconds. Of course, first.
Is it just
and
me,
second,
or has SMW got some camber damage actually on his Merc?
And that is from...
Oh, he's just gone on the wall at Skyline from that accident. So, ouch. Sorry, Trahair. I meant Sebastian Murray Westberg.
Yeah, he has. He's got a fair bit of damage on the left-hand front corner there. So he's going to have to run that thing through the pit lane and get that corrected. That is a shame, and the Westberg Mercedes continues to be in the wars. Again, there's not a lot he could have done about that, and Trahair equally not doing, obviously having the slide, but not doing the wrong thing. He stayed still in the corner, which is always the better thing to do than to try and start moving, because no matter which direction you choose to go, it's always going to be the wrong one for any cars coming through. So just I
mean, and blinking as well was not
absolutely
not in SMW's best book, because the car disappeared whilst he's trying to dodge it. Oh, I think I'm good. No, got damage. So
not a lot that could have been done there. And again, another unfortunate incident, really racing incident there. So Westberg on the receiving end of it. So that is disappointing. He may well get through. He's not going to have to stop for very long at all. He'll actually literally just be able to stop.
well, he's not going to need fuel, yeah.
No, he'll just stop and go here. It'll quickly fix the car up.
Unless don't tell me
he's out of fast repairs.
Don't tell me he just burned his at the pit stop. Which is, you know...
That is incredibly
Oh,
disappointing.
no!
So that's going to put Dave Johnson, the captain consistency, up into 5th. While that repair gets done to Murray Westberg, he will be fuming inside that helmet.
Because I guarantee you, he's just forgotten to uncheck a box. I guarantee you.
Yeah, there's no way. There were 3 fast repairs allocated to this race. There is no chance that he's burnt through them all. At all.
Look through the info panel. There was only 2.
Only 2. Okay, so still no chance that he's burnt through from the early
Oh no,
incident.
he had the accident and then he pitted.
So perhaps just not unchecking the box and burning through both of them there. So that's disappointing for him. Michael Spithill, his partner in crime, teammate, is still running in 2nd place. So Murray Westberg will get back out and finish. He'll understand that some points are better than no points. He will have done enough of the race to qualify to take home the points for wherever he finishes. But a disappointing way for him to finish the evening, that is for certain.
Tell you what, having a look at Chris Purnell, he's not doing too bad for himself at the moment, but he's not catching Spitty. His pace is reasonable, but he's not catching. The captain's pace ahead of him is actually a little bit slow, but I'm wondering whether or not that's because he was in lap traffic on his last time by, which, having a look at, yeah, he was in lap traffic on the last time by, so that's an out of form lap for him. So it was a 207.7 last time by for Captain Clements. Spitty was a 206.03 and Chris Purnell 206.11. So I don't know
around that same pace.
Yeah, I don't know if Purnell's going to be able to put the pace down to climb any further back than 3rd. I think that might be his finishing position for the evening.
Sprader Nash has continued to pile on the advantage of getting out of the pits in the right time, or getting into the pits at the right time. He's now nearly 5 seconds in front of Brock Schaefer. Last lap around, a stinging 1:59.69. So he is well and truly pedal to the metal and getting the job done here. 34 minutes to go. We mention it every fortnight. If you do happen to join us every fortnight, we're 3 minutes and 54 counting down seconds from the 30 crazy minutes that generally finish these races. So don't go anywhere. The last 30 minutes, we always say it and something always comes to fruition. There's always crazy time in the last 30 minutes of these AEE Endurance Series races. So don't go anywhere or you will miss out.
Yeah, something I was actually gonna say is, I mean, you Stuart's heard me say this a multitude of times, but anyone who does do the longer format races will know that there is a point whereby you just start to get exhausted. Now, from a Kiwis perspective, it's currently 11:30 at night over there for those guys, so you know, keeping themselves available and up for these sorts of races can be a little bit of a push on the sleep schedule. And a little bit of a push in terms of the mental fatigue game. And the mental fatigue game around any regular circuit is already tough, but don't forget it's Bathurst. Like, we've actually seen not a huge amount of issues, and normally when the issues have come, there've been one car, and then that car makes a mistake on the next lap. You know why? Because they're still pushing when their tyres haven't settled back into their correct operating temperatures after being overheated slightly. So it's actually a really, really good opportunity to say again, to the quality of driving this evening has been above par so far, but this is where things started to go wrong last time out for pretty much everyone, Chris Purnell included.
Yeah, it sounds like there might have been a little bit of complaining from some of the drivers about the lap traffic, as you mentioned earlier on. It's going to be very hard to avoid that at a place like Mount Panorama. where there aren't a ton of clear-cut passing opportunities, probably only 3 or 4 really, and the speed differential between the two cars across the top of the mountain is not that great. So, but I'm with you. I think that a majority of the drivers have done a fantastic job. We've seen a couple of drivers lose the car in a really difficult places, and they've done exactly the right thing. Waited until they had a good clear window, and done a 3-point turn on Mount Panorama without affecting anyone else's race. So I think overall we've seen some good running. And Jamie's just popped in as well with the last 30 minutes will be epic viewing. Bathurst is tough, and she bites hard, and you're spot on. So we're a minute and a half away from getting into that critical period for the drivers. So what we might do, like we normally do, 31 minutes to go. We're going to jump on board, and we're going to choose, I think we're going to jump on board with Ron Polito this week and let him take us on a lap around Mount Panorama while Scotty and I quickly go and grab a glass of water before we run through the last 30 minutes of this one. So we'll let Ron take you around, and we'll be back with you in just a few minutes. Alright, so thank you to Ron Polito for taking us on a lap around Mount Panorama. He's just ducked off and made the world's quickest cup of coffee. Just getting it done.
I've got multiple water bottles sitting right next to my computer, as I normally do. I drink a lot of water personally, so as I normally have with my sim rig. Actually, something that since running all the endurance races I've run, I now want to build, when I finally do put my sim rig together, it's going to have cup holders, I think, on either side for water bottles. So,
what did we miss?
Few of the drivers complaining about lap traffic at this point in time. So, I mean, you mentioned it, we're in crunch time. I can't recall who it was, but it was something to do with Dave. So I have a feeling something to do with Dave Clements at some point.
Yeah, because we've got a very damaged-looking Brock Schaefermobile now in third, being heavily harassed by Mark Gibson in 4th. Matty Bowler's moved up into 2nd spot, and Braden Nash now a full minute up the road. So something has happened there. I
It was Bowler and Maynard?
have not seen any notification on our track indicator at all of an issue with Schaefer. So,
Well, Nash will say thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a benefit to him as well. So, I might just grab notice here that we've got, unfortunately, but fortunately, Sebastian Murray Westberg in the green room. I'm just going to bring him in. G'day, Seb. How you going, mate? Just got the mic on mute there. We'll just get hold of Murray Westberg where we can. There he is. He's brought himself off mute there.
If I unmute the microphone. Hey guys, how's it going?
Always helps, mate. What we were talking about the bad luck run that you've had coming into tonight, and it's looked to befell you again this evening. Unfortunately, a DNF for you after a promising drive back through the field.
Yeah, look, it was it's been a tough week. The car really has been we've been really struggling to try and get the car. It's had pace, but trying to get the nose in, and it's one of the reasons why Peter's not racing tonight. He just couldn't drive the car with the amount of understeer we've been fighting. So we knew we were on the back foot going into this race, and then unlucky.
Yeah, definitely. With that that second incident there, obviously the early incident consuming one of the fast repairs, and I'm assuming you just had a little bit of damage touched up in the pit stop, did you? Which is what took away that second fast repair that you had.
Yeah, we forgot to turn the second one off. Peter was doing my pit
Call
stop.
it!
Was so worried about our tyres because I'd been basically doing quali laps the entire run.
Yeah.
I made an audible saying if the tyre wears anything below 60%, we're changing tyres.
Yep.
They're at 52, and yeah, we just completely forgot to take the fast repair off. So there was probably a slight crinkle on one of the fenders as I got a 0 time somewhere around the track as you do a Bathurst, but done.
No, that is a very disappointing end. Good news is that your partner in crime's comfortably in 2nd position at the moment and doing a great job. So he'll at least get some points for you. Have you actually ejected from the race, have you?
Yeah, I'm watching. I've reloaded back in, so I'm on flat screen now because I was watching in VR, but I'm on flat screen now. So cheering Spitty on. He's been actually on point with that Ferrari all week. He was one of the first guys in our team to break into the 4 mark while we were still struggling with the 6s. So, Ferrari.
Gonna have to interrupt you, sorry, SMW. There's a fight on right now. It is Schaefer versus Gibson, and a few seconds up the road is Matty Bowler there. And I tell you what, Gibson is crawling all over the rear bumper of Brock Schaefer's limping Porsche. It's gonna be on. He's throwing the car left, right, and looking for a margin everywhere. And Schaefer's going to be very slow in a straight line, and Bowler's going to be next if we're not careful.
Yeah, absolutely. We didn't quite catch what caused the damage there to Schaefer's Porsche, but he's looks like he's struggling a little bit with understeer as a consequence of that damage. So it's too late now for him to pit. And as we always say, last 30 minutes of the race, it's on like Donkey Kong after 2.5 hours of racing. 1.5 hours of racing. What we're talking about. It's really on here between these two, and Gibson won't want to waste too much time. He was already closing in on Bowler before, so he won't want to waste any time as he gets incredibly close to the wall there, heading through into Reed Park. So it's very close as we just see an indication there to say Braden Nash crashed.
Oh no!
As
what?
well, so not sure what's happened to him, but he's had an off track as well. Dave Johnson
been going into the last turn by the looks of it.
Yeah, Dave Johnson also having an incident which we just jumped off on board of when Michael Spithill was coming down behind him. So plenty of action on track at the moment, and there's going to be a few bits and pieces to look into at the end of this race as well. So Bowler's just coming down through. Just waiting to see.
Quick question. We all noticed at the start of the race that Dave Clements made a little bit of a misjudgment with the race start. Did he self-redress that, or did he just start sort of filing back towards you guys just quickly whilst we got you?
Not as sure. Like we saw him go and we went, no, we're sticking with the procedure, and we're guessing Dave didn't have a clue what was going on, and then yeah, he just rolled back towards us.
Okay.
I feel like he probably could have rolled back further. He got within 4 or 5 seconds by the end of it, but I mean, Dave's not really in the championship hunt. I think he's just having a fun race this round, so he's out there doing a good job.
It was just something we weren't really able to pay much of attention to. We saw it happen and then sort of fell away from it. But yeah, thanks for a little bit of an update there.
Yeah, no, it's all right. We it was funny seeing Dave because I mean I was feeling pretty good about a potential pole position. So was Spitty, and then Dave just comes out and smashes us. So good work, Dave.
Just as we say that though, the gap between himself and Spitty is down to 3 seconds now. So potentially not all over at the front there either of the GT3 category. As give you a little bit of motion sickness there while we file back through the pack to get back on board with Schaefer and Gibson. As, that gap now is less than 2/10, and Gibson there all over him, trying to get the job done. Jump on the back of Schaefer here. Look at how close they are there through the dipper.
I love Musket. He's just such a character, isn't he? His latest chat line in the race chat takes 2 hands to handle a whopper.
I don't know how he has time to put these things up. It's almost for me a couple times at Le Mans. They're always good value, those ones.
So I can let you in on a little secret there. He's acquired a Stream Deck.
Oh no!
And he's got the old 15-button Stream Deck. Wow, it's a big dive, a huge dive.
Oh, contact too.
And there was contact as well down on the side there between Gibson and Schaefer. That was an enormous dive down the inside. So damage to the right-hand front corner of Gibson's car, and more damage onto the NSR Sports car as well. So I think he was probably always going to get the job done there, but wow, that was an aggressive move. We'll just chuck that one back up and have a look at the replay there.
I'll be honest, if I was in Schaefer's boots there, I would not be a happy camper with that move.
It was a long dive, that one. So, and yeah, Jamie in the chat just saying potentially a redress situation.
Update from the Nürburgring. There's a beach number 7 Audi somewhere out on the GP circuit.
There we go there. So there is a redress that
almost gets him again.
Yeah, there's a redress that has just taken place there. So
good job, guys.
Gibson doing the right thing there, and probably recognising that he was a little bit too deep for that one. But back out and getting it done.
20 minutes to try and to continue sort of having a crack at him, and to put the viewers into the mindset of Gibson there. What's the cost sort of benefit? He's got 20 minutes to try and get the job done here again on Schaefer, and then he's got, you know, whatever's left over of that to go and have a crack at Fowler as well. So if he doesn't redress and there's a penalty, well, you've run yourself up the wrong way. But if you redress it now, you've probably got enough time to get the move done, and then probably, you know, enough time to get on the rear end of Bowler and at least put some pressure on him. So that would be what's going through his head.
Yeah,
the gentleman racer in me always says you give back the position no matter what. It's just sheer courtesy, I feel.
Mm.
Yeah, interesting couple of points of view in the chat as well in terms of blocking and track movements and stuff like that as well. So the movements happen there, and we'll see how that plays, whether or not Mark can get back up on the back of him.
I agree with what they're saying in the chat as well. I think from Schaefer's perspective, with the damage to his car, he's definitely playing second. It was something I was actually about to bring up before all this sort of happened. He's playing second fiddle to Bowler now. He's you've got to remember that Nash is in the second team car for the NSR boys, and he's clearly well and truly up the road, and there's no hope right now, if this battle continues, for him to come down and shuffle the points into Bowler and Schaefer's hands. So right now, Schaefer is about trying to protect points not only for himself in the team's championship race, but also protect Bowler's rear end and act as his rear guard and his rear bumper. And I think that damage that's happened to Gibson's car might have just put him down a few RPM in terms of pace.
Yeah, it's just on that right-hand rear corner, so the wing's not bent, might be struggling a little bit for grip, not sure, but we'll keep an eye on this. 16, just under 17 minutes to go, and I've just had a notification there that Schaefer went off track as well, so he's struggling with that Porsche.
There is a possibility that that Gibson's probably got a little bit of steering damage. There's a fairly square contact, but with that, when you're the impacting car, generally you get the disfavor of the damage most of the time. So it's possibility that he's
just going to jump in car and check it. His steering wheel's straight, so I think he's actually okay. That was the thing that popped into my head as well, was whether or not there'd be steering damage. No, it actually looks like he might be okay.
Yeah, he's fallen a long way back though from Schaefer already, just the lap and a half since the contact was made in the redress. So I feel like there's potential he's not able to push as hard anymore or something. So who knows?
Well, look, all of a sudden Schaefer's on the rear end of Bowler as well. But there was another battle we were just talking about. I believe it was Spitty and Captain were going to be at it towards the back end of this race.
Yeah, that's spanned out a little bit. I've been keeping an eye on that. We're now out to 5 seconds, so just wondering if there was a little bit of traffic that might have contributed to that decrease in the gap between Clements and Spit Hill. So I can tell you as well that Purnell has not made much of a dent on the gap to Spit Hill. So at the moment, this one pretty comfortable, first, second and third, if the drivers want to keep it that way. And then there's a huge gap back to Luke Trahere, who is the only other GT3 on the lead lap, in inverted commas, on the lead lap of the GT3 part of this group. So yeah, a pretty certain top 4 in the grid there as well.
Yeah, Mr. Clements did have a 2:05.8 lap. I'm guessing he's probably had a couple of laps with some traffic. That's what brought the battle with Spitty closer, where Spitty looks like he's had some clean laps with traffic.
Spitty's just let Braden Nash go on by now, and he'll turn the corner and start heading up the hill as well. So there's
a little bit of team play going on here, if I'm not too mistaken.
Yeah, it's double teaming, isn't it? Really. So lap traffic playing into the bargain. Gibson, I can guarantee you, Gibson wouldn't have been happy with the way that he got by, which is part of the discussion that was going on in chat. But he still needs to try and get back on and get that job done. Face to the left, looking for the move. Great blocking, great defense there from Schaefer. Doesn't offer the lineup. So now it's going to be Todd Gibson in front of Brock Schaefer. Matty Bowler's made his way past Todd Gibson, the lap traffic. So now Schaefer's got to format his way past without yielding the ground to Gibson.
Wow.
Oh! That is a car in the wall, and well, that solves that argument, but not the way anyone wanted.
No, and I'm sure there'll be a few words after this race in the Discord about that. So we'll have to check on that as we get through to the end of this one.
I can tell you right now, there's some words being exchanged between Nash and Clements. It's actually really, really polite, mind you. But I have a feeling Nash and Clements might have been right near each other on the track right now, and I'm going to keep an eye on the gap back to Spitty.
Clements had a big moment coming through McPhillamy. Put a rear on the grass coming up the skyline, which gated him slow, and then Nash was coming up behind him and was forced to cut through the S's after skyline. So no damage to either car, but it was just an awkward encounter after Dave dropped the tyre.
Yeah, and like I said as well, we sing the praises of the field and the guys in here, but communication between the drivers is, yep, sorry, yep, no worries, it was a bit of an accident, that's fine, no damage, race on. So again, just props to all the drivers again tonight. Well, I tell you what, with that mistake, the gap was down to about it's under 2 seconds from Speedy to Clements. And if that's the indicator of anything, we have actually seen Clements' time start to dip a little bit. You mentioned there might have been traffic. I'm wondering whether or not he might be suffering for tyres in the Merc. Can you give us a little bit of an insight into that, SMW?
I absolutely can. I don't know what Dave's tyres would be like, but I know the Merc is very, very heavy on the front. Dave did not take tyres by our estimates on the pit stop. Spitty stopped. He had 79% on the fronts. He was solid. His tyres are good to the end.
Sorry to cut you here, guys. It's on down into, and there's just a fair bit of gamesmanship going on between these two. There's, I think Gibson there feeling like he's being held up deliberately by Schaefer, just pushing his car in, and contact going down into the last corner. So more contact between these two, and it continues to be on. The Schaefer car struggling in a straight line.
Tell you what, I'm gonna give me 2 moments. I'm gonna check out Schaefer. I wonder whether Schaefer, after most recent contact, whether he might have some steering damage. No, both of them are straight. Okay.
There's a fair bit of gamesmanship and car banters going on between these two. That's for sure. There's Schaefer's not willing to give up the move cleanly, and Gibson's getting very aggressive with some of his moves. So let's hope it doesn't come to tears with these two, but definitely some gamesmanship playing out.
Right now, I'm just keeping an eye on.
Schaefer really loose up the hill there.
Well, we talked about it just before, didn't we? When the cars pick up damage, they start to wear the tyres a little bit more unevenly because the aero packages start to put more weight, less weight. You know, the tyres aren't receiving their load as squarely anymore, so it's difficult to manage the tyres, which these guys would be, for running at the pace that they've been running at for so long. I reckon, and remember as well what we were saying about the aero setups, how I thought that our NSR Porsches might be weaker towards the back end of the race.
Yep.
You might be seeing that play out on our screens right now. I reckon Gibson's got a fair bit more tyres than Schaefer, and I think the aero's, sure, it's helping, but I think it's the tyres as well going away.
Coming
SMW?
back down to the chase again. Not as close this time, so Todd trying to get the nose in, and he's got to try and get right underneath and then be able to pull out with the draft into the braking zone.
Do you think he's got to throw a fake? I feel like that might be the way to go.
It's hard to throw a fake around here because when you got cars that are evenly matched in the straight, you've got to rely on the draft. And generally, the car in front will know when there's a move on or not, or they'll just suddenly get hit. It's hard to really throw a fake. But Gibson's, what he's got to do, he's got to get right underneath the wing, follow him across the top of the mountain, get a really clean exit out of Forest Elbow, stay right up tucked underneath him until the last minute, and pull out when he's got that extra horsepower in the straight with the draft.
Right, so you reckon use a lot of this excess downforce right across the top of the mountain. Looks like Todd Gibson's having a few issues. Just had a few events pop up on the screen. Mustick's not having the prettiest of nights as well, by the sounds of things as well. And Bowler's the cleanest of these three guys, and he's just not been able to get away, and there's been no traffic for a little bit of time now. So I think Bowler's going to be super vulnerable if Gibson gets by. Yeah, and I think the other thing to keep in the back of your mind is if Gibson gets by, he's still going to have to keep an eye in the mirror for Schaefer.
So this does seem to be where he's strongest. Brock Schaefer getting a good exit there, as you can see, and just opening that gap up, and that's going to really stifle any chance for Gibson towards the end of this lap.
Schaefer will have the draft going down the hill too with Bowler, so that's going to make it difficult for Gibson.
Is that a team ploy?
Whether it's a team play, there's probably not a huge amount of advantage in it. It'll be more the case of that's just where the chips lay. I don't think there's an advantage to the draft in the terms of a lap time because of the aero loss across the top of the mountain. But there is a possibility that Bowler's tyres are falling off a bit.
Here he goes. Gibbs, he hung the car out there. He's thinking about it. This is one of the hardest corners on the track to get turned in.
Here we go. Now, he's got the run.
Gibson gets it turned off. Murray's really nicely heading down to the tail corner here. He dips to the left on the brakes, gets on them nice and early, gets the car settled and turned in. Now he's going to be struggling for pace on his run up the way mountain straight. He's not quite going to be able to get it done here.
GT3 with Reese Ashmore, I believe that is, coming up the hill. Reese should get out of the way of him. Griffin's probably not going to be close enough with this this move, but he's pushing hard.
Ashmore's done a good job there to stay out of the way of the battle, which is one of the things that we really enjoy seeing the drivers do, so we get to enjoy the best without any sort of impost. And Jamie's making the comment in the chat there about getting the move done at Hell Corner. I think that's definitely going to be on the minds. You can see he's all over the back of Schaefer as we look out the back of Schaefer's car to Gibson behind him. He's definitely got the pace. Just a little bit struggling, a little bit there across the top at Skyline. But he closes right up here, so you'd think that some of that's intentional, is positioning the car for the run back down the hill.
The other thing with too is when you're tucked up that close behind one of those RSRs, that rear wing, it actually blocks a lot of your visibility. So you are relying on the turn-in of the car in front of you so much with trying to get your positioning going across the top of the mountain. That's why it's so hard.
Absolutely, and we're really looking for the cut down here to get down into the chase. Watch for Gibson to close right up on the back of him here.
Quick the NSRs are in a straight line. That's consistently, since the updates to the aero profile of these Porsches, been their strongest attribute, their strongest feature. Once again in a oh, this is really where he's so strong, Gibson.
This is his best opportunity. He's just got to commit now, I feel. He might be just too far back.
I think I'm on par with you there. I think he might be backing himself up a little bit here. I think that was the lock inside front left there for Gibson as well. I thought I saw the tyre stop moving then for half a moment, but he's close this time. This is now his best opportunity. Gibson builds it on towards the rear end of Schaefer. Schaefer's going to defend it. Gibson tries to get out nice and wide on the left. Nearly throws a tyre in the dirt. Not quite able to get it done. Now
big slide.
Oh, that's a save. That is a
big save. Great driving. He is all over him.
Schaefer knew that move was on. He was well into the blocking position and well in his right to do so, but great racing between these two. Oh, that was close to that wall.
Yeah, I was just about to say that as well, but have a look at the time factor. We said it was about 20 minutes of the motor race the last time I checked the clock. There's 5. These guys are 3 laps from home now. So, time is running out for Gibson to get himself in front of Bowler. I almost think that Bowler's going to have to do something majorly wrong for that to happen. So now he's got to settle the car in, turn it, get it cleanly done. He misses
front.
Oh, that's going to hurt him. That's hurting.
And that may be all she wrote. It's just lifted that left-hand front. And
I'll tell you what, he's now out of the draft. He's actually now out of the draft. That's how bad that's affected him.
Just quickly touching on the GT3, the gap between Clemo and Speedy has gapped out a bit. Clemo's been able to get some clean laps in, so that battle's settled down now.
Just see Pat Gallo, I think it was, just Mark Samuel there in the background as we jumped on with Michael there. So, and interestingly enough,
Bowler's just gone around.
Bowler has gone.
At Murray's.
Yes,
He's
absolutely.
Lost it on the exit of Murray's.
So up into second, Brock Schaefer, and Mark Gibson into third, and that takes the pressure off Gibson from Bowler. So can he? The question mark is, can he close back up onto Schaefer and try and get into second on the podium here? It's going to be a heavy battle if he can get there.
I mean, okay, so there's something now to throw in the way of Gibson, is that Schaefer no longer has the benefit of the draft coming from behind Bowler. So the wake, was that Brett Douglas that got right out of the way of these guys?
Yes,
that's
it was
a really
indeed.
good job from him as well. Again, race awareness from these guys tonight has been fantastic. But Gibson, 0.8 of a second faster in the 0.8 of a second faster in the first sector, 0.2 faster in the second sector. Gibson, if he can get the head down, he's still got an opportunity. This is not over yet.
Potentially 2 more laps to go. We're looking at Braden Nash for that. He's just started lap 58. He will get around again before, so we've got 2 laps to go in this race. So 2 laps for Gibson to get it done. I just noticed there the gap blowing right out for Gibson.
Yeah, he's gonna. Oh, he's on the grass coming through McPhillamby to Skyline there.
Okay, so it's done now.
Yeah, so
I feel like it's probably case in point. He's deep into. Oh, he's hit the wall at the cutting too. He's actually gone way deep into the cutting there and gotten the wall.
So he's gonna have to just manage
Sorry, I was
himself
on
from
replay
here,
too
really.
with that.
Just gonna have to manage himself here. He's 4.5 seconds behind Schaefer. A fantastic race for us to view there. Certainly a little bit of biff and bash as well. And as Jamie's saying, Gibbo just needs to settle himself a little bit here. Recognise that there's only a minute 53 to go, and he really wants to make sure he brings this home. He certainly deserves a podium. There's no question about that at all, and he's run a great race. So Schaefer, just you can see there the gap. It's going to be probably too big. I'd say almost definitely too big for that one to pass. There's a big battle on here as well that we've missed in all of that excitement between Tomo and Sweeney. This is the battle for 7th and 8th, and it's extraordinarily close between these two as they're getting through a lap car there. I believe that's Luke Trahair. He'll move over to the left of to the right of screen. My apologies. And they are battling for 7th and 8th. It's just under a second now with the slower traffic making way as they come through. Sweeney, I want to get through there. He was jogging on the spot a little bit to make his way past Trahair down the straight. And we'll go around. This will be the last lap of the race, as Braden Nash has started lap 59 of this race. We predicted 60 laps. We were spot on. It's just how we roll here at FGM ECast with the predictions, just making sure that they're as accurate as we can be. And we predicted 60 laps for the race, and we can't have got it any closer if we tried.
Well, I'll tell you what, I feel horrific for Matty Bowler because, what did I say? The only way that he's going to lose this second spot is if he has a horrific mistake, and oh no.
Bit of commentator's curse. Dave Johnson there getting out of the way of Tomo as he tries to bring home 7th place. Jaden Sweeney in pursuit on the last lap of the race. That BMW of Tomo's looking a little bit second hand. Sweeney's Porsche looking like it's just rolled off the factory floor, to be perfectly honest. So whether or not he's got the tyre condition to do anything here, the gap is closing. We're down to 0.8 of a second between these two. BMW strongest in a straight line. Sweeney probably going to be able to close the gap a little bit across here, but Jamie there giving me a little bit of stick about head wobble from the combox. Don't think so, Jamie. It's just as accurate as we can be, mate. That's just how we roll. But appreciate your feedback as always. As we get down into the dipper here, Sweeney nice and close to the wall, getting it done, but just going to run out of time, I think. Keeping an eye on Braden Nash as he's going to take this one home. And what's happened here? What has happened here? Matty Bowler has crashed again, but Brock Schaefer has relented. Gibson up into second place as Braden Nash is going to come across the line and take the win for NSR in the Porsche race. Really well run pit strategy there, and that clean swap over really doing the damage for him as he pulled away from Schaefer to take the lead at the halfway point of the race. But we've got Gibson up into second place.
Did Schaefer run out of fuel or something?
Yeah, his car was bobbling the whole way up Mount. Yeah, he's out of fuel. He's 100% out of fuel.
He has run out of fuel.
He had a slide going through the final turn, turn 1, and just, had no fuel to go up the mountain and just lost it all.
Yeah, you can hear him there, crackling and clapping. So does that mean that Bowler's going to run out of fuel as well? He did stop, what,
No,
one lap later.
Here comes Dave Camo to take the win in the GT3.
Just across the line
fairly
there.
closely, actually, by Michael Spittle. The gap was not that far towards the end there.
No,
Yeah.
2.2. Maybe Dave's struggling for fuel there as well. We'll just have to have a look, but
Oh,
you can see there. So does this mean that Timothy Russell's going to get a podium?
no, it'll be Matty Bowler.
no, just if Schaefer didn't make it back up the hill on low fuel.
Schaefer's in the last turn now.
Yeah,
So he's going to get across the line there. So, wow, what an outcome. So Mark Gibson ending up taking second place. A great race from him to get that done, and Matty Bauer taking out third after that spin. Schaefer fourth. We've got Timothy Russell fifth. TK coming home in sixth. Thomas keeping the job going and getting that done.
Mr. Clemo is using one of his teammates to get a proper wheel burnout going at the moment. I think that's Pat Gallo. He's parked into the side of just using him as a stopgap to do a big burnout.
To get the job done.
That's great.
So, well, what a race. And it's definitely going to be a good race for us to create a highlights package from. My goodness, particularly at the end there. As we've got Spit Hill in the Reading to go back.
I better do the interview with Spitty just for prosperity's sake. You reckon, guys?
Yeah, just for clean, no bias.
Unbiased commentary.
A little bit probably biased, I think, to allow you to do that. But we do thank you for jumping in the combox, Seb, and being a good sport after what has been a tough night for you.
Great job as always, guys. I'll leave you to the post-race interviews. Thank you, and I look forward to. Is it Road? No, it's Road Atlanta next round.
That's spot on. We go to Road Atlanta for the first time in our history, so that's going to be a very interesting run with the pace differential in the cars.
Yeah, that's a fun and tough track, that one. Never had much luck there, so let's see if I can surprise myself. But thanks, guys. Have a great end of the ride.
Thanks very much.
Same to you, Sam. Yeah, thank you.
So just wait and see if we get anyone else jumping in there. Yeah, we have. So Braden Nash and Bowers jumped in. What a finish to the race we saw there. Just not sure that we'll get anyone else, just whether or not Mark Gibson jumps into the box as well. But we'll jump on with the NSR boys first. And guys, what a race. Certainly an up and down one. First and foremost, Braden, that 1 lap later pit really working out for you as well as could be asked, with you getting out in clear traffic and unfortunately Brock getting caught right smack bang in the middle of a whole heap of lap traffic coming out of the pits, and I think that's what really got you that fresh air to run away with the race win.
Yeah, got lucky with the lap traffic. Brock was really good playing anchor for us, allowed me to save heaps of fuel in the first stint, which made it possible to push for the whole second stint. But yeah, the whole plan through the race was to maximise team points. Versus the GT3 cars, it's a bit tricky with the different levels of competition, but yeah, we're doing our best.
Yeah, I think overall probably everyone did a reasonable job through the night. It's a tough track as always.
Yes.
Scotty?
Yeah, no, I was pretty much just going to mirror your comments. Was the plan at the pit stop to flip flop and have you then anchor on for Schaefer and allow him to save fuel? I think the last time out at Bathurst for you guys, it was, I believe, you, Nashi, saying, I saved the fuel, he spends it.
No, Brocky saves the fuel, I spent it. But no, originally, we were just going to try and do the one stop, see what we had to do it. But in the end, Brock didn't even need to save fuel to get to do it in one stop. So just worked out.
I mean, he ran out in the last lap.
Did he? I'm not sure he did.
He ran out in the last lap.
Oh, I thought he made it easy.
Yeah,
he didn't say anything about running out. I think he was caught up with the race with Gibson.
Fair enough. We couldn't quite tell if that was the case or not. And Matty, a bit of bad luck for you there with that spin late on in the race, but otherwise that other unfortunate incident that gave you a little bit of car damage slowed you up towards the end of the race there.
Yeah, I had a pretty good gap to Gibson. I think early in the stint, it was like 17 seconds or something, and yeah, I got caught up in the traffic, and I was trying to swing by before the mountain, but yeah, obviously misjudged it and didn't give me enough room, which is completely fine. I think it was just a racing incident, but yeah, got back on track, but with the damage, the car didn't really have the pace, and yeah.
ended up at the end there coming in still a strong result in third place.
Yeah, really happy with it. It was good team points.
Yeah, any shout outs from you boys on NSR Porsche?
Yeah, just shout out to you guys for the broadcast. You're doing a good job. And shout out to the boys, Matty and Brock. Awesome to race with.
Shout out to my dad who watches every single race. So g'day, Dad. I hope you're happy with the result.
He was in there
Yeah, he
again
loves
tonight.
it.
He helped solve a riddle for us as well, so that was good to see. And we'll jump over now. Thanks very much, guys. We'll jump over now to our
Cheers.
GT3 podium, consisting of Dave Clements, Chris Purnell, and Michael Spithill. Sorry, I got the order wrong there. Actually, Dave, Michael, and then Chris. So I'll start with you, Dave. A good solid run from you tonight.
Yeah, thanks, Stuart. We had a pretty good launch off the start there. I think I may have missed something in the driver's brief, but obviously having that kind of start was a little bit unnerving. So I just rolled back to the boys and went from there. Had a really clean run. GTE guys are very gentlemanly, and thoroughly enjoyed ourselves. Thanks.
Michael,
Yeah.
Oh, go on, Scotty.
I was just going to say, it's not often that we see Chris Purnell pipped for pole position, mate. 2032, nice, quickest in the Mercedes there this evening. Did you have to manage your tyres a little bit there at the end of the race?
Look, I actually, early on in the race, I wasn't 100% on fuel, so I was fuel saving and tyre saving for most of that first stint. So then in the second stint, I was able to just really pace myself. It's so easy to make a mistake with lack of concentration and overtaking cars. So I was just giving plenty of space to make sure I could bring it home.
No, well done there this evening. Spitty, we had the pleasure of Sebastian joining.
No, but if he's giving away trade secrets, they mustn't be very good ones if he was in the comm box with you guys.
Shots fired. Yeah, no, obviously had some bad luck tonight as well.
I feel over the whole first hour that I could just pretty much not worry in the whole second stint and just, manage the gap to Purnell, who bizarrely had a spin in the first hour.
Yeah, absolutely. So that enabled you to manage the Ferrari. Looked reasonably strong across the course of the evening. So with some very consistent laps, including your fastest lap of the race was actually your last lap. So managing itself very well there. You did you take tyres at all during your pit stop?
No, I didn't take tyres. I had plenty of tyres. That Ferrari was so nice to drive and just looked after everything. It's been on point for like all the practice sessions.
Yeah, and that is something that Seb mentioned to us, that you were consistently the quickest in the team throughout the run into the race tonight. So congratulations, and a second place, well deserved.
Thanks.
And Chris, bringing home third place tonight for Virtual Motorsport Mentor team. How did you find the race?
Comment. Nah, it was all right. I just didn't have enough time this week to put the set in the window, and it was pretty nervous going down Skyline every lap, so I was sort of managing the car the best I could. But a little bit disappointed in myself. I had pace, but not to be this week.
No, yeah, we did notice that. Obviously, don't want to harp on about it too much, but an uncharacteristic spin for you down into the dipper. But we were absolutely, and including the crowd watching, the people on the chat, commending you for the way that you managed to get it back and do a 3-point turn down there without impacting on anyone else in this race. So albeit not a position you want to be in. Very thankful for the way that you handled getting back out of it. So, and that actually went for a number of our drivers tonight. We saw a few precariously placed cars around, particularly the run down the mountain, and everyone taking time out to make sure that they didn't impact anyone unduly, mate. So well done on that as you made your way back onto the track.
Yeah, cheers, buddy. It's just one of them places where it's you don't have much room. It's hard to see what's coming, so it's a little bit of luck. And I knew there was the gap in the fence, so I knew I could try and tuck it back in there and try and rotate the car a little bit more. So, but yeah, it is what it is. It's not my finest hour spinning down there, that's for sure.
It happens, mate. If Peter Brock can bury a Commodore in a wall around Mount Panorama, I'm sure that you have the excuse to do it once or twice as well.
So I was actually going to ask, when are you opening up your learners driving school? Because that 3-point term was on point, mate.
Yeah, it might be covered in something coming up, and how to avoid not to spin down there. That's
Not to get
I
into
look
that
forward.
situation to start off with. And
Please let me know when the web series goes live, mate. I want to register for that straight away.
and just before we let the podium go, Dave, anyone for you to say hello to, thanks to, wave to while you've got the mic?
Always mum and dad for letting me race. Like to thank RMS Race Management Service, Mark 1 Esports, Lee Vandenberg for spotting for us, and obviously you fine gentlemen for putting the whole show on. Do quite appreciate it and had a great time. Thank you.
Fantastic, and not a problem at all. We love it. Michael, over to you, mate.
Yeah, I just want to thank you guys for running this series and always doing a good broadcast. It's always good driving. Yeah, I want to thank Bow Repairs on our team, a race management service who's actually run by Dave himself, and PJR Gold Coast 05.
Fantastic, and Chris, last but not least.
I'd like to thank SimStyles Painting, Race Magazine, you boys up in here in the booth, and FGM ECast, and Tasman Racewear.
Oh, fantastic, and we will let you guys go. That is the end of your involvement in this evening. Thank you very much for what you put on for us. We appreciated getting to broadcast it. It's lovely that you guys take the time to thank us, but we are actually the lucky ones being able to broadcast the race, and tonight certainly didn't disappoint. As I put my teeth back in there, Scotty, as always, as we get to the end of the broadcast, what was your moment of the night?
I think the number of late race mistakes. That is. We mentioned at the top of the hour or the top of the 2 hours, that there were a number of fatigue-related errors at Le Mans, but to see them, it's uncharacteristic for these guys, especially with such a shall we say, easy to drive track conditions. Normally, when the track's a bit better like that, you don't make as many mistakes, the cars are a little bit easier to drive, and you don't fatigue anywhere near as much. But I'm wondering whether or not those guys running right at the end of the race were sort of the first time they'd really had to run cars in ragged conditions, and when you added fatigue in on top of that, that's brought about something that I think a few of them weren't expecting, some of the car behaviours. And well, 2 runs at Bathurst in the Australian Endurance eChampionships, 2 times we've seen cars run out of fuel on the last lap.
Yeah, absolutely, and I agree with you there. I'm not so sure about whether or not we saw too much of the, you want to see, the close racing was fantastic to see, and I think for me, not necessarily overall the outcome, but certainly it was good to see Mark Gibson taking the challenge to NSR after the early exit there of Tim Febben, who probably should have been.
He's unlucky.
Yeah, absolutely.
He is so unlucky.
Should have been in that spot, probably giving the hurry up to the NSR boys. So for mine, it was the competition at the end of the race there was fantastic, even down to seeing Tomo and Jaden Sweeney battling it right down to the end, and obviously Spithill and Clements getting close at the end there as well. So.
Can I say a shout out to Sweeney for putting the car over the line without running out of fuel this time?
Yeah, absolutely, you can. I'm sure he'll have some comment back at you for that as well. But the other thing as well was the quality of the 3-point turns done throughout the race. We saw a number of them, but I think the driving standards, and I'm sure I'll find out more as we get into tomorrow in the Discord, but I think the driving standards overall from an observer's perspective were pretty damn good given the situation, the speed differential in the cars.
There were. It's not as if there weren't incidents popping up on our event recorder, but I don't ever think I saw incident. The only one that's sort of a question mark is, I believe it was Maynard, followed in by Bowler. That's the only one, I think, for me, that was somewhere close to anything like that. And I don't think there was any malice in it. Like I said at the time, I think, because Joshua Maynard was in the chat, I don't think there was anything in there, I think it was just a case of a lack of concentration at that point in time. The driving standard for this series is incredibly high. We've got guys here, Hodak on a new rig, and still running down the race, but still running a high quality race in terms of consistency and race recognition. If you're running an official lobby anywhere online within iRacing, you don't see driving of this standard for this long. It's unheard of. So a big shout out and a big plaudits to drivers, not necessarily just on the podium, but right throughout the field. I think to be able to come to Bathurst and experience racing of that caliber, that length of time with that few issues is unbelievable.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point to touch on too. So I mean, it is the second season that a lot of these drivers have been running together. The pace of the field went up a notch magically between the two seasons. So it's really good to see hard, close racing together. There's a little bit of rubbing and stuff tonight, but I think overall none of the drivers, they're all fighting hard. And the battles are what we want to see as the guys commentating on the series, and even Jamie just now is dropping into the comments saying comments of the podiums, understanding around incidents. It's great to hear. Shows the maturity and knowledge of the racecraft and racing in general, and I think that actually really does summarise it very well. The guys understand that in car racing stuff happens, and as long as you're not being a tool before it happens, mistakes happens in professional motorsport, as we all know. So
I think for me, one of the most important events of the night was I think Reese Ashmore with like 3 laps to go, recognizing second, third, fourth are right behind him and just getting out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That I think you can say right throughout the field that everyone has that same feeling of when we're racing, let us race and don't interfere. And I think everyone respects that, and it's not something I've come across anywhere else in motorsport within iRacing so far. So.
And it's a good thing that is the case. It's a perfect segue to have a very, very, very brief mention of the fact that we are off to Road Atlanta in a fortnight's time for the next race. In fact, the third last round of the Endurance E-Series, Series 2. We've got that, then Spa, followed by the Nürburgring. So if you've enjoyed what you've seen tonight, and I thank everyone for tuning in. Jamie, thanks for keeping us entertained in the comments, as well as all those others who did drop comments as well. It's going to be an exciting race in 2 weeks' time. That is an incredibly fast track, and there's not going to be a lot of room for everyone to get past one another. So
overtaking's a big issue. Yeah, that's
absolutely.
what I was going to say.
Yeah, we're going to need some level heads getting around there in this series when we head there in a fortnight's time.
I'm going to have to do some research into some racing trivia. I think I kind of want to bring my own little quiz to pop up during the stream. I think next time out is probably my setup and my mindset towards things, because I enjoyed the banter back and forth to the chat. A-class cars. I'm now going to go and look up those A-class cars just to get an understanding of them, because that's really, really awesome.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's part of what we get out of doing this is the interaction with the crowd too. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Take care of yourself as well, Jamie. We'll see you hopefully in a fortnight. Of course, that is not all that we have on FGM ECast for you. There will be car coverage of the Bathurst 1000 on Saturday from 981 Motorsport, the racing team connected to this channel. So do look out for that. And then next Tuesday we head back into the AusPro-Am Sim Series for their penultimate round. And that is going to be an absolute cracker. That is coming to you from Sebring as well. So lots to come on the channel as always across the weekend. There'll be a little bit of golf on Sunday afternoon, as we always try to bring to you as well. So if you're looking for something to do, jump on the channel. Support our channel partners who support us. We would obviously be very thankful for that, as they help us to make this all happen. And Scotty, for you, mate, Sebring on the weekend. Good luck with that.
I think I'm going to be over Sebring after 8 hours there, so to be back there on Tuesday. I think I've got something on Tuesday. I'm not 100% sure if I'll be able to make the broadcast, but I'll certainly have learned the track by then, I think.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a good place. We had a strong finish there ourselves in the 981 Motorsport car. So yeah, enjoy that. You'll like it. It's a great racetrack to run at. And as always, as we do, signing off. Thanks everyone. This is FGM ECast, your place for pace, and we will see you across the weekend on Saturday from around about 11 o'clock to bring you the start of the Bathurst 1000 from a in-car perspective on the 981 Motorsport rocket ship. We will see you then. Thanks very much for watching.